Yeah, that's right, I see the chat. I see y'all rocking, I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building, you know what I'm saying? Hit that like button, show your love, show your support, you know what I'm saying? This that dope soul, this that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It show. Going Tuesday instead of Thursday. If the Knicks lose against against the Nets on Wednesday, we might be back here on Thursday. A lot to talk about tonight. Unfortunately, there are no definitive answers as to why the Knicks have performed the way they have, starting basically on New Year's Day, and what they need to right the ship. Everything is on the table tonight. Should Mike Brown be one of the few coaches in the history of the NBA to be fired midseason? I don't think so, but we'll talk about that. Is he the change we hope for? Has he lost the team? Where's the leadership? Is Jalen Brunson being exposed as a leader off the court? And is he a championship caliber guard on it? That's on the table again for those who want to bring it up. What does Wingstop really mean? Has Bridges and Anunoby gone under the radar in terms of blame for where this team is at? We haven't talked about them enough. How much of Cat's struggles is due to the system, or is it just a down year for him? We can revisit that if you like. Is trading Cat the cure-all? There's been rumors that the Knicks have contacted Memphis, Charlotte, Orlando about potential trades. And again, Geoff brought this up earlier. Is that a direct trade with those teams, or just them helping to facilitate a larger trade? We don't know. And why isn't anyone talking about the front office, or not talking about the front office enough? We'll talk about that as well. I'm joined by Jeff Klafter from the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog, Ajay the Villain, Escard from the Man Cave. How's everybody?
Man, good to be here.
Not good.
No, but it's good to be here hanging out with you guys.
Right?
So we've been hanging out with Knicks fans, and Escard, it's been a minute, so yeah, it's good to have you on tonight to do the show with us.
Yeah,
it's always good when family comes to the funeral, right?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
or the party, or the family reunion.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Like I said, tonight there's no answers to what's going on with the Knicks. There's no answers, definitive answers, I should say, in terms of what should be done. We're just gonna kick it and talk about it, give our thoughts, see what the chat have to say about it. I'm gonna start with Mike Brown. Should Mike Brown be one of the few coaches in NBA history to be fired mid-season? I don't think so, but I'm interested in what you guys have to say and why. And then we'll get into more specifics about Mike Brown. Escart, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think Mike Brown should be fired because at the end of the day, in the beginning of the season, the team was playing Mike Brown type offense. Within the last 2-3 weeks, they ain't running no offense. They're not running his offense at all. And most of it, to me, like I said, is because they're reverting back to Tom Thibodeau offense. This is a half-court team. This is not an up-tempo team. Everybody can see that. That's the problem. They're a half-court team. They want to play slow. They don't want to play fast. Every time you see the Knicks, it's like you would think they're playing on a back-to-back. They're not playing on a back-to-back. They come up with the same energy, the same thing, and all that stuff. So I don't think it's the coach. You could bring in a different coach. It's not going to change the players and stuff like that. It's not going to make them faster. It's not going to make them jump higher anytime. It's not going to do that. But what I do criticize Mike Brown sometimes is just like, as far as like with the players, not holding some guys accountable. He holds some guys accountable and stuff like that. But, to be more stern with some of these guys, benching more guys, doing things. And, as far as calling them out in the media, I'm the type of person I am with that. But I think it's a little bit too early for that, But I think, like I said, they really need to get into these players and that, talk to them and, try to motivate them, see what's going on, man. It's like, there's no way these guys can be out there in the court giving you nothing. They still playing out there. You should be benching them. Put somebody else in. I don't even care. But, as far as that, it's too early for, to fire Mike Brown now. If it was like the end of the season and we're still looking like this way, then I'll be thinking like, yeah, it might be a little bit of time. But I think it's the players got to start holding themselves accountable because at the end of the day, you can fire coaches and bring in different coaches. If the players don't change, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk a little later about whether or not Mike Brown has lost the team. Um, Geoff, your thoughts?
I don't. You know, I think that sometimes emotion and frustration bubble over, and especially after a game like we had against Dallas. But you know, it, I'm not sure that a change in the head coach. Who are we going to bring in? Normally, when you fire somebody mid-season, you're just bringing it. You're just moving an assistant up. You're not bringing somebody from the outside who doesn't have anything, any connection to the team. So if you're just, and then is there somebody on the Knicks bench as an assistant that you really want to give the reins to over Mike Brown? I'm not sure. At the same time, that's a little bit frustrating that it just seems like, and I think Tibbs did this a little bit too. I don't think we coach to the strength of our players. Like, I appreciate the up tempo, Mike Brown system that was very effective in Sacramento, but it kind of looks like that this team doesn't really. I mean, they had a good run with it, but it seems like they're not thriving in that right now. So I kind of, it would be nice to see a little flexibility. I mean, that's kind of what he was brought here for, and do more to put these guys in better positions to succeed, and really lean into their strengths. And I don't really see a lot of that going on right now. And I don't know if that's just because they're not doing what Mike Brown is asking them to do, or which is a problem, because if the players aren't listening to the coach, that's a major issue, or if it's just a case of the system not fitting what they're doing. But I at this point, I don't know that. I mean, if you're going to fire him now, you shouldn't have hired him in the first place, I guess, would be what I would say.
Yeah, Ajay.
You know what? I don't even know why they're putting so much emphasis on Mike Brown, and not that he. I mean, he is part of the team. I'm sure he is part of the problem. He bears some responsibilities, but we all watched it. We watching the games, right? These guys, they play with no passion, no effort, no care in the world. That has nothing to do with Mike Brown. That's the players. Something's wrong with the players. Something's wrong in the locker room. Something's wrong with the mentality of the players. Something's wrong. That culture that we thought we developed, I don't know. I don't see it. Like, there's no pride. There's no. I don't even know the word. I wouldn't even want to say dog. We don't need to be dogs, but you got to have a certain amount of pride, man. You spent all your life to get to this position in the NBA. And people coming over here punk you, making you look bad, and then you all hugging him after the game like it's all lovey. Man, forget that, man. Queen, yesterday we watched we was watching the Celtics and Detroit play. I mean, that was a game, grown man game. I think Detroit won by a point. After the game, man, the Celtics just walked off the court. None of that hugging and kissing, I love you, man. None of that brotherhood nonsense, man. You're after the locker room, after the interviews and all that stuff, yeah, we could talk. Before that, man, my blood's still boiling. I don't want nothing to do with you, man. You're my enemy. You're my adversary on the court. Listen, these guys have no pride. They have no passion, and they play just like that. They don't play like they really want to. They're just out there. I don't know. I already got my money. I don't even care what happens after that. I don't see the passion. That has nothing to do with the coach.
Well, why did that change, though? Why do you think it changed? Because the Knicks, you could say, was a different team right up to the fourth quarter of the San Antonio game, New Year's Eve. And they've played 10 games in 2026, and they look like a totally different team. Prior to that, Geoff, remember every time we would do the recap, I'd be like, they finding another way to win. The team took away second chance points. They did this. They love to shoot the threes. The team took away threes. They went into the paint. And just talking about the different ways in which this team was just gritty and gutting it out and finding different ways to win. 10 games into 2026, this looks like a totally different team who's not playing with any type of grit or energy.
Queen, I'd love to know what happened. And I'm with you. And even in the beginning, when they were playing, I mean, so you did see a little bit of that lack of energy, but the talent got them, because this is a very talented team. These guys can play.
Mhm.
You know, they can play. All right, and they're good at what they do. You know, but at some this is a professional league, right? Other teams starting to figure out. They're starting to figure you out, right? They're starting to figure out these guys. They don't go to the 3-point line. That's why every team come in here. You know, they shooting high percentage from three, right? The league starting to realize you play tough with us. You know, we get frustrated. Cats starting to commit fouls. These guys, they starting to let the refs, you know, the calls get in their heads, and then they lose it. So they all figure this out, and they all play you the same way. You realize every time we lose a game, Queen. I mean, one thing is our shots not falling, and we don't know how to do anything else. The minute the shots don't fall, then we completely lost, right? We can't play defense. We can't do anything else. But then most of the games we've lost in that stretch is the teams that are playing us tough. Even soft teams are coming in here playing us tough. Soft teams, they come in here, they playing the Knicks, all of a sudden everybody tough because we look softer than they are.
Escar, what do you think the change has been? I mean, none of us know. What would you guess?
I think it's the players. I mean, like I said, they was running the system in the beginning of the season up to, and then they stopped running right after that game. They just stopped running. They reverted back to their old self. Like I said, don't want to run up and down the court, don't want to hustle, don't want to do anything. And the effort has not been there, man. It's the effort. Like I said, you can look at any NBA game. All you got to do is put effort and stuff like that. You're going to win games, but the Knicks have no effort. They have no energy. And that's part of the problem on the Knicks. Majority of the Knicks players have low motors. They have low energy players, and that's part of the problems from the core four. They have low energy players. And in the NBA, it's a lot of high motor, high energy guys in the league. The Knicks don't have too many of those. I mean, really, they don't. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the problem. And it's starting to catch up to them. And then when they don't play, you see what happens. They fall behind. And then, like I said, you look at Mikal Bridges, the way he shoots fall away jump shots, like he playing like, you know, he playing like NBA 2K out there. It's like they can be down 30. It's just effort, man. It's just effort. That's all it is effort. They don't want to run. They want to be a half court team and stuff like that. That's not going to cut in today's NBA. You got to pick up the tempo, pick up the pace, and they don't want to do that.
You could be a half court team and still play with pace, though. I mean,
yeah, but you have to have high basketball IQ, and they look like they don't have the IQ right now. Don't know what's going on with the IQ.
That's another thing.
Yeah, it's just, Geoff, any thoughts?
You know, it's puzzling to me because, like, I get what Scott is saying, and it's certainly on its face, it definitely looks like that. But then you look at the box score and you see Karl Anthony Towns with 18 rebounds. You know what I mean? And you don't get 18 rebounds if you're not, like, you don't luck your way into 18 rebounds or nonchalant your way into 18 rebounds, you know? And so I wonder if it's not as much energy and effort as it is cohesion. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm wondering if it's in other words, I don't think the Knicks just decided we're not coming out to play today at all. Good night. I know we're not making shots, but I'm wondering if they're just not on the same page, and for whatever reason, that maybe there are personality conflicts and they're freezing one player out or another. I don't necessarily see that, but I'm just wondering if it's more of a chemistry issue than it is an effort issue, because I look at the way that Mitchell Robinson played against Dallas, and I don't see a player who was not playing with effort and energy, you know, and so you know, the defense has been poor. I'll admit, and Jalen Brunson gets hunted like, you know, like crazy and to great effect, and the rotations have been slow and those sorts of things. But at the same, so you know, I and some of that with the rotations again points to a team that's not playing on a string, that's not connected, that's not, you know, five. And it would appear as a lack of basketball IQ, right? It would say, hey, if we're not connected, if we're not all of the same mind as we're defending, then it's going to look like, you know, well, he didn't get to that shooter, he didn't rotate correctly, and those sorts of things. So I'm wondering if it's more a case that they're not playing for each other and they're not playing smart, as opposed to they're just out there, not giving any effort. But maybe it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two different things. The Knicks are not a very athletic team, but that has nothing to do with effort. Like you could be, you don't have to be an athletic team to go out and play hard um, from the time you get on the court to the time that the game is over. We're not seeing this in the Knicks. This is a direct flip from what we've seen prior to New Year's Day. I think there's something going on with the team that has nothing to do with X's and O's that's impacting how they come out and play. And I get it. They're professionals. They're professionals. They should know, regardless of the circumstances, whether you have issues with the coach, whether you have issues with another player, you come out, you play. You're professional. That's what you're supposed to do. But that's easier said than done because they are human, So I'm not sure, but something, in my opinion, is broken with this team, and there's multiple things going on. The defense, we talked about that all season. The offense, 97 points, that's unacceptable when you have your entire team is relatively healthy. Hart and Brunson may still have been nursing injuries, but still. The Knicks shooting has gone south in the last two 10 games. They're bottom of the league in offense, bottom of the league, and I don't know, bottom of the league in offense, maybe like 16th in the league in offensive. No. An offensive rating this year, they're 26th, just averaging 109.4 points per 100 possessions. So they're not knocking down shots either. They're shooting like just 43% from the field and 4% from three. So the shooting has gone 33.7% from the field. The shooting has gone south as well. The team just looks broke in so many areas. And I don't know if you could say it's 100% the coach. I don't think you could say it's 100% the players. I think there's a mix of both. If you had to put a percentage on it, Ajay, where would you place it?
I mean, I won't give you a number, but I'll tell mostly on the players. I would say mostly on the players. They're the ones out there performing. They're the ones out there who's got to do. I don't even. It doesn't even. I don't even care what sets or what Mike Brown is calling. You're a professional player. Most of these guys been in the league like at least 7, 8 years, 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And before that, they've been playing ball all their life. You got to know the winning plays, man. You got to know what it takes to win at this point. If the coach calling a play that doesn't make sense, voice your opinions, because coach, this ain't gonna work. This is not what I do. If he's calling out 3-point play for Mitchell Robinson, anybody could be looking at, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
I'm putting most of it on play. I mean, number wise, I don't know, but I mean, listen, man, we lost to the Texas Legends yesterday, man. It very bad. It's a very bad loss. Texas Legends is the Dallas Mavericks G League team, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think it's interrelated. Because if you don't believe in the schemes, if you don't believe in the game plan, it's hard to. I get it. Whether you believe in it or not, you're a professional. You go out there and you give 100%. But coaches can lose teams, and when coaches lose teams, they don't play hard, and you could say it's unprofessional. And I'm not sure if that's what's going on, but there have been some rumblings. Ian Begley had a report. I was running late, so I wasn't able to. I wanted to clip it and put a slide. That from what he's hearing, even when the team was playing well, they weren't totally bought into Mike Brown's system. So that could be part of what's going on now in terms of what we're seeing. A part of it, a part of it, and hopefully they get it together. But to me, as a coach, this is the issue I have with any coach. Before you call a player out, you have to develop that relationship with them, particularly in the NBA, where relationships matter, where coaches lose their jobs, not just because of X's and O's, but because the best players on the team don't like them or don't get along with them. Like, this is not high school and college where this is what I say, this is what you do. I don't like the way you play, and I'm going to sit you on the bench, and that's just what it is. You can get away with that in high school and college. You can't get away with that in the NBA, particularly with your best players, because it's easier to move on from a coach than it is to move on from a player. And I think, listen, you say whatever you want to say behind closed doors, say whatever you want to say to the player. I think when you start singling out players in press conferences before, as Freezy said, you have that cachet or you have that relationship with a player, you risk losing that player and you risk losing the locker room, because the rest of the players see you. You ain't point me out, but I saw how you pointed the other guy out. But that being said, that's Mike Brown. Like, that's what he did in Sacramento. This is his style. This is how he does it. He's entitled to it. But you got to also be willing to deal with the consequences of it as well. And I wonder how much of the lackluster play, not all of it, I wonder how much of it is them not really being connected to him and connected to what he's trying to do.
Queen, well, let me ask you a question based on what you're saying, right? If you're Karl Anthony Towns, been in the league, he's what, 30 years old? Mm-hmm. Jalen Brunson, I mean, those guys are they're veterans in this league, right? Mm-hmm. And their biological clock is ticking in the NBA. Okay, there's a limit of how long you can play in the NBA. Do you really jeopardize your career and your legacy for something like that, or do you sit with the coach and y'all figure it out as a team? Because you're not 22. You don't have a lot of years to make up what. Like, every season is very important when you get to this point in your career. You don't get to make it up.
I agree with them in terms of sitting down and saying, if you have something you want to say to me, say it to me personally.
Oh yeah, but into the lackluster effort in retaliation to the coach calling out a player.
But Ajay, this is, and maybe this is just my psychological background. This is not a retaliation. This is not like a conscious decision. Oh, you're gonna call me out? I'm not playing for you today. This is more energetically. This is more about motivation. This is more about feel. It's just something where you go out and you think you playing hard and you're not, because you just don't want to play for the guy. I don't think it's a conscious decision. Am I making sense? Like, I don't think it's conscious. I think it's just more, and it's just energetic. It's like when you're working at a place that's toxic. You got to be a professional and you got to go in every day and you got to do what you're supposed to do, but you're a little less productive than you used to be, because that environment is taking a little something out of you. Listen, this is all conjecture. Like, none of us is in the locker room. I don't know what's going on, right? I'm just wondering if that's a part of it. And I've heard some on Twitter, including Freezy, really criticize whether the way Mike Brown wants to play is the right system for these particular players. And maybe that is another reason why they're not taken to the system. Escart, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say something. Right. To me, I think it's like 85% players is the blame and 15% of coach, because at the end of the day, it's the core four. That's the problem. The other three guys, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, and Deuce McBride, is still doing what they're supposed to be doing. They've been consistent. They're very consistent. It's the core four that's the problem. They're not playing the way they're supposed to, and that's what the big problem is. And that's why we are where we are. What, 2 of the last 11 games or something like that? The core 4 has not put they have not put their end of the bargain up. And the bottom line is you're getting paid to perform. These guys are getting paid. The top 4 players are getting paid. When you're getting paid, you're supposed to perform. So there's no excuses. And Mike Brown calling Cat out, yeah, it's just like these players of today, they're just too soft. They're soft. They want to get paid, don't want to be criticized, nothing like this. Work on your game, work on your physicality, all that type of stuff. I mean, I don't care you call out Cat. That should drive Cat to be a better player or something like that. Do what you got to do, man. You know what I'm saying? You're getting paid. You ain't getting paid peanuts. You're getting paid $50-something million. And you're getting called out by other players in the league. It's not just the coach. It's the other players in the league. So it's a problem. Man up. That's all I got to say. Be a man. Play like a man. That's all I got to say, man.
Anybody else?
Well, I was talking to Delusional last night on X, and I said that it was everybody's fault but the popcorn vendor. And he said that we needed to blame him too. So popcorn vendor, you get 5% for my guy Delusional, and the other 95% falls on the coach and the players equally. Queen and I were talking after the show this morning. The only thing that Wingstop seems to be stopping nowadays is themselves, right? So when everybody's underperforming and it nearly and so that's on the players and it's on the coach. I mean, the coach's responsibility is not just X's and O's, but it's Jim's and it's Joe's, right? You gotta be able to do both. And right now it kind of feels like we're not doing either. I don't think schematically we're adjusting to what the league has really been doing to us for a year and a half. I mean, I don't think, I think teams are leaning into the physicality and playing cat with a smaller player. And we just kind of seem to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. And then, we're not doing the cutting and off ball movement things that Mike Brown professes and he teaches, and we're not getting out in pace, but part of that is because we don't get stops. It's really difficult to play at a fast pace if you're taking the ball out of the net every time. I think that's a big issue. When you get the rebound, you could push the ball up the court and get into your offense before the defense has a chance to set. It's not easy to do when they making a basket every time down the floor. Plus, they're pressuring the guard, the point guard, whoever it is, or whoever's bringing up whoever's bringing up the ball. They're pressuring him so we don't get the ball across half court until 18, 17 seconds. And then you don't have time to run the sets and the cuts that you want to get open, especially if the ball sticks to a particular player. If you play a lot of one-on-one ball, which we've been doing, not just Jalen Brunson, because when he was out, we were seeing a lot of the same thing. OG Anunoby, not this past game, but the previous game, really took the ball. He was aggressive, but he was just like, it was as in his own world going 1-on-5. And I think his shooting percentages reflected that. I think he was like 6 of 18 or something like that. And so, and I don't mean to pick on him specifically. I'm just saying it's right now the Knicks effort is collective failure, and whichever players or coaches we like best are getting less % share of the blame thrown at them from a fan standpoint. But at the end of the day, it's a team game, and they're all responsible for how the team acts. Jalen Brunson is not leading this team in a way that's conducive to winning right now. So I think that he deserves full criticism. Towns is shooting well below his career averages for an unknown reason. I don't know if it's a hand injury or whatever the case may be, but he's struggling to finish around the rim, and he's not getting the calls, and he's letting that affect his attitude. Mikal Bridges loves the back of his milk carton. I mean, you can't spell Mikal without milk, so I guess that makes some sense. And Josh Hart's been in and out of the lineup. Mitchell Robinson is a part-time player, and so all of these things are lit. In and of themselves, you could probably survive any one of those things, but when all of those things go south at the same time, this is what it looks like.
And we're going to get into that, Geoff. We're going to break each of those down as we go along. I just wanted to start with Mike Brown and get that out the way. Let me just get to the chat, see what they have to say before we move on to the next segment. Sharon, good evening. Cat gets 18 rebounds because he's given up defense for rebounds. Defense is rebounds. If you're not getting defensive rebounds and you're not closing out the possession, then that possession, extends. It's not on Cat to get out and defend the three-point shooters. I hope you're not blaming Cat for the three-point shooting percentage. Now, trust me, I'm not defending Cat defensively. He's been bad, and we know that about him. But I'm not going to sit here and say that the reason he's bad is because he's rebounding the ball.
At an elite level, it's not just. I mean, in other words, that he does it better than he's a top 5 rebounder in the entire NBA. Like, so I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say, yeah, well, he only gets that because he hunts them because he doesn't guard anybody. I don't know. Maybe that's true, but I think it's a little bit disingenuous and just a reason to attack Towns for other areas of his game that we don't like. But I mean, he's one of the strongest rebounders in the game, in my opinion. Especially on the defensive end. I think he's a better defensive rebounder than he is offensive rebounder.
Of course. All right. Wow, I thought I had okay. Jose Gensight, team shooting 40% from 3 against the Knicks is bad business. Duckosaurus, I agree. And why he only call out Cat? The only play he call out is the low-hanging fruit. JB shooting 10% from the field. Worst defensive year. No call out. I mean, I don't agree with calling out any players in public. Not necessarily addressing it in the locker room and talking to them and holding them accountable. I'm not for the public stuff. But if you're gonna call them out, call them out. Don't just. It's always Cat. Never caught. What game we played on the West Coast? Mm-hmm. We were in the game with like 4 minutes left, and Jalen Brunson turned the ball over like 2 or 3 times in crunch time. We didn't hear anything about that. About how if you're the leader of this team and you're the point guard of this team, you have to take care of the ball in crunch time. It's up to you to make sure we get a good shot each time down and not turn it.
And that was that Phoenix game.
Okay. Oh. Eddie Rodriguez, Brown puts down his players. He should be fired. Yeah, I think you have to give him not just this season. I think you also have to give him the off season to bring in players that fit with his system and then see how that plays out next season. He inherited this team. Maybe these he did say this is an excellent roster when he got the team, but maybe when he got here, but maybe after working with the team, he's able to see, these are not the guys that's going to play the way I want to play. And there's 2 ways about this. We went back and forth with this last year. Do you bring in players to play your system? And do you try to create a system that works with the players that you have? Where are you guys on that?
Yeah, man. I look at it as like the players he got. I ain't going to say the players are like damaged goods. These guys ain't getting any younger. You see how these guys run up and down the court. They barely can get up and down the court. Their athleticism, you can see it. They have a lot of players that play with a flat tire. And like I said, their core 4 play with flat tire, and that's part of the problem. You have to have high energy guys that can get up and down the court, do some things, and these guys just can't do it, man. So they can do it in little spurts. They could do it in little spurts, but not in full game. And that's why when they play younger teams, they get, outworked, outrun.
So do you think that there should be a tweak to the system, given who this team is right now?
A tweak trade.
I mean, the only thing, yeah, that's the only thing is just a trade because Mike, if he wants to run up tempo, so he's not going to go to a half court system. I mean, and even if you play a half court system, if the guys are going to do the same thing, just stand around and watch somebody dribble, not move, not cutting, and stuff like that, setting for 3-point shots, it doesn't matter. These guys was running the offense in the first, like I said, beginning of the season, it was moving and doing everything, and that's why it was working. They stopped running it. So,
And that's my point. Then how much of that is flat tire, them being slow? They did it.
That's on the players. That's what I'm saying. They're not playing the way they was playing. That's what we're saying.
Right. But there's two things that's being said, though. One, get rid of the players because they're old, they're aging, they have flat tires, they're low energy players. But yet those same flat tire players, low energy players, ran the system in the first part of the season. Like, what's the difference now? Why can't they run it now? Is I guess what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not saying I know the answer.
No, I know. It's almost like they can't do it for a full season. That's the problem. I mean, early on they could do it in short spurts, and that's it. They're not going to keep it up during the whole season and into the playoffs in the 7 games, and they're not going to keep it up. That's what we're saying. It's like, I ain't gonna say they run out of gas, but it's like that's what it looked like.
Yeah. Again, pace doesn't necessarily have to be in transition, running up and down the court. And you can argue that for this particular team, you probably don't even want that. You might want opportunistic fast breaks with maybe the point guard and the 2 wings with your bigs trailing. But in the half court, moving the ball and moving your body, it's hard for me to believe that the Knicks are too old for that. That the Knicks are not athletic to cut and move the ball.
I'm not saying they just stopped doing it. I think you're right. I mean, they just stopped doing it until they get back to doing that in the half court and whatever. They'll be okay. But if they decide they don't want to do it, it's not going to work. That's up to the players. That's why I say it's on the players. They got to decide they want to play or they don't want to play.
All right. Okay. Keith Turner, you fire Mike Brown. Nobody is taking this job. Good luck finding a coach. Article is saying that team didn't like Mike Brown hugging Green after the game against the Warriors after tripping Cat on purpose. That kind of lost respect for him. I see how they are playing. I mean, the energy and the play had dipped even the
Kings game was before that, and that was a disaster of epic proportions.
Yeah. Paula Williams, Tibbs made this team what it is. Mike Brown is there's a bozo. That's why Fox got him up out of there. His lack of respect for Cat is trash. Okay. I think Mike Brown calls out Cat and things changed since then. Mike Brown lost Fox and Sabonis in 1 year. This is more Mike Brown comments because we're talking about this segment, and then we'll move on. This team mentality is cracked. Okay. In game, what happened to the whole open door policy thing with the team? If Cat got an issue with Mike Brown, then why can't they just hash it out? It's a good point. All right.
Queen, a lot of Mike Brown comments, and shout out to David Smith. A lot of Cat comments. Queen, we got to purposely do a show during the Knicks game to see if David's like if he shows up, because then we'll know that's really Cat. That's like Cat's burner. He can't be on here. He can't be on here.
David Smith alone, Jay. Come on now.
Shout out to David Smith, man.
That's my guy.
Cool Cal G, Brunson with we don't know where it's broke. Like, to me, there is an emotional break. Some of it might be X's and O's, some of it may be that, but there's something else going on. Cool guy Kyle G says Brunson with his college boys and dad on the bench may be getting old for some. Maybe. That may be why Mike Brown doesn't call him out. As well. Where is the leader of our team, the captain? What leading is he doing? Yeah, that's where I wanted to get to next. Brunson, Brown, then we'll get into you know, Wingstop. Well, Cat. We'll get into Cat too. But I don't think Brunson has been talked about enough during this stretch, right? He's almost like, Teflon Don, like nobody doesn't want to, say anything about him. But what have you noticed, if anything, with Brunson's play, um, his leadership or lack thereof, if you have any thoughts on that? And have you seen enough to still believe in him that he could be the best player on a championship team, or that the Knicks really need to bring in a player better than him? Ajay?
So during that stretch, obviously his play has gone down. Like, it's not the same level of production. It's not the same energy, and it's really not the same. And you guys on here know I like Brunson and I like how he plays, and I defend him when the rest of the team ain't doing nothing. He doesn't pass the ball, but he hasn't been shooting the ball well. Okay, that's probably one of the reasons why we've been losing the games. And so it's a combination of him not shooting the ball well and not getting other players involved. And that's, when you're not shooting well, that's when you got to try to get other guys involved, right? To do other stuff to get the help. But the leadership, I can't point to anything that says, like he's a great leader or he's not a great leader. I just don't see anything there. He just bears the title of captain. I think I've seen videos of him the other day on the sideline, gathering the troops and having a conversation on the sideline. I don't know, whatever the hell that was. It didn't do anything for the game. But on the court, I don't see a whole lot of leadership. And in that stretch of whatever 11 games that we've been bumbling, as Clyde like to say, like the play hasn't been great. Obviously he missed a couple of games in between that, right? But even before he went out, the play wasn't great. So when he's not shooting the ball well, everything else falls apart, right? He's not making good decisions. He's turning the ball over. He's pounding the hell out of the ball more than he would normally do. It's like it's a domino effect from that point on. So, and I don't want to go away from Brunson, but I think that's actually how the entire team function. When what they do well is not happening and they don't know how to do anything else. So what they're good at, when Mitch is not getting rebound, like he can't do anything else. Not that he does much else anyway, but he can't play defense, he can't intimidate, he can't do anything else. And Brunson's pretty much been the same way in that stretch.
Yeah.
Well, New York is 1-5 in games without Brunson this year. Surprisingly, they had a winning record when Brunson was out of the lineup last year. A lot of that had to do with the play of Cameron Payne and prioritizing Karl Anthony Towns and getting him the ball and featuring him in the pick and roll. And what we've seen from the Knicks is a decline in the Brunson Cat pick and roll opportunities over the course of the season. And so, again, I think it goes back to utilizing both players to the best of their abilities. And part of that is sacrifice on both of their parts. Like, Brunson has to sacrifice and not just call his own number, get Towns going. Pick and pop should be an automatic with those two. Now, part of that is Towns got to knock down shots too. But, and I think part of it is that Towns isn't being guarded by a big, so they're not coming with the screen, and it's a different, it's a different dynamic maybe, but, the Knicks have to be able to figure that out. You've got to get it where you can get these guys in advantageous positions to attack the opponent and score. And there's just not a synergy between our top two players in terms of being on the court and maximizing each other's strengths. And I think a lot of that falls on Brunson because he's the point guard, and that should be his to start the game. That should be the priority. Is to get Towns going, get him involved, and also, hey, when you don't get a foul to go your way, all right, Cat, pull him away from the rest. Let's go. Let's get back. Let's calm down, and on to the next play. We have to do those sorts of things. things. So, you've talked about this a lot, Queen, the evolution of Jalen Brunson to that next level, right? We've seen playoff Jalen, and he's been good, and he's been the guy who's carried the team on his back, but this roster is a lot more talented now, and it should be able to lighten the load for him. Is he going to allow them to, or is he going to continue to play like he did, in years past, just because that's where his comfort zone, that his comfort level is? I think that he has to do better, and I think that this team is going to continue to underperform its ceiling as long as Towns and Brunson are not on the same page, and they certainly don't appear to be at this point in time. And I don't think they were last year either. So I don't think it's exclusively a Mike Brown issue.
Yeah.
I said a few years ago when everybody was in love with Brunson, I said there's going to come a time, and I'm still in love with Brunson. He's the favorite player on the team for the most part. He comes to play every night, and I still believe I still believe in him. But I remember saying a few years ago, this is the honeymoon period. There's going to come a time like it did with Paul George, like it did with Giannis, like it did with Tatum, like it did with Embiid, and still with Embiid. Well, they've kind of moved on from that expectation, I think, in Philly. Can you win a championship with this guy as your best player? That question, everybody who's ultimately won it, that was a question for years before. And I think that's a legitimate question for Knicks fans. Can you win a championship with Jalen Brunson as your best player, particularly playing on ball? Because I just don't think as much as he's on the ball, I need his process to be a little bit better than it is, as much as he handles the ball. And again, listen, he started out as a point guard, right, in Villanova. Then he became a scorer in the NBA, trying to figure out when should I shoot, when should I pass. It's not easy to figure it out when your game is the way it is, and you can get your shot off on anybody, right? But you still got to keep the macro in mind. And a lot of times I don't think he does that. And I think when you get into these playoff games where the margins are slim, you got to be on point in your, in your decision making. So we'll see what happens once we get back to the playoffs.
If we get back to the
playoffs. We are like 1.5 games out of the play-in. Come on, guys.
This is crazy.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get there. But anybody else, Escott, thoughts on Brunson this season, leadership, and can he be that dude? Do you still believe he's that dude, I should say?
I haven't seen it up until this point. I mean, he's more of a scoring guard than a facilitator, penetrating point guard. You got a lot of help on your team now. It's time for you to stop pounding the ball, get in the lane, and dish it out to people like Mitchell Robinson. I mean, when RJ Barrett's on his team, he looked for Mitchell Robinson way more than any point guard. Brunson, you're a point guard. That's supposed to be your duty. As much as you drive in the lane, get in the lane and penetrate and dish off. That's what it'll make your game much easier. Brunson could be having like 9-10 assists every game if he just does that. But he gets in the lane, he looks to score. And don't get me wrong, scoring is good, but it also, you can get other team in foul trouble. You can, make the players, that's why more players will move and do some things if you do that. But if you come in lane, you're scoring all the time, then guys don't want to move and do things. And, I can see why some of the players don't want to, do some things because they know they ain't getting the ball. Brunson is like, it makes no sense why you got 2-3 guys on you and you're still taking a shot. Pass the ball off. Even when he's getting double team at the top, as soon as you see the double team coming, hurry up and throw to somebody and, avoid the turnover. He keeps pounding until the guys get there and then they close him off. It's like, and I don't know why the coach is just yelling at him or they call timeout. Like, what are you doing? You got a lot of help this year. Get it out there and do some things. I could see just like 3-4 years ago was different. The players were different, but now it's like you got more help and you're making it harder on yourself. If you do it pass more, you probably won't be injured so much. Get it off to somebody else. Mitchell Robinson could probably have 15, 16 points every game if you just keep looking for him down there for the alley-oop because he's the only one that can catch an alley-oop down there on the dunk. It makes the game much easier for you and stuff like that. So until he, evolve as a point guard, a pure point guard, like that. But it's not going to happen, man, because he's going to look to score too much, and teams know that. That's why they know. That's why they keep pounding on him and keep beating him up, because they know he's not going to give that ball up.
Yeah. I will say this: I'm not as high. I don't think he has as much help as he does. Like if you think about how we played to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
The ball was flying around, and Bridges and OG. I really remember we had that show, and I said OG has crossed over, and he is a legitimate two-way player.
He crossed back.
Yeah, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. I don't think he has as much help as we think he does, in my opinion. I just think that OG is a three-point shooter from the corner. He can attack a closeout. His handle is shaky. I don't think these are guys, to say the least. I don't think these are guys that, sure, if you're double teamed, I agree with you, Escart. If you're double teamed, move off the ball. Move off the ball, pass it, cut, get it back, move. I'm all for that. But I'm just not a believer that he has more help. I see Bridges as somebody who's just basically sleepwalking through the sea. Like, he's a content. Playing within the flow of the game, passing the ball. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. And we're going to talk about him later. And OG just doesn't have that offensive skill set against really good defenders. You can see it sometimes, and I'm like, whoa, wow, but it's just not consistent. And I think when you try to get guys like OG to do more than they're capable of, they get exposed. And I think that's what we're seeing from OG Anunoby. But that's separate from, if there's a double team, you need to find the open guy. And I think when you find the open guy, just shoot it. Like, don't try to do too much. I just don't think he has that game. I think Bridges does, but he just decided that I'm not going to be that guy.
Queen, whenever OG drives the ball, it's not just the shaky handle, it's the lack of stability. He always falling, man. I mean, yesterday he took a hard fall. Like, he found the one little wet spot on the floor, slip on, and it was like the fall was so hard. It's like you like us, like you're lucky he didn't break something, man. And it happens all the time with him. I thought, but he seems so strong. Like, he seems so strong, but when he drives the ball, like he I don't know, he's slipping and sliding, falling. I don't get it.
But there are times when he looks fantastic. He just goes through contact, lays it up, or he'll drive in and pull up and hit a short jumper, but it's just not consistent. It's just, I don't think it's something that you can count on.
Oh, shout
Jeff?
out to Kev Berry. I'm sorry. He said he stepped on a foot, not on a little wet spot. And that's true. He did step on somebody's foot yesterday when he fell. But
Wiz, I disagree. OG has offensive skill. He lacks confidence. Shit. There's sometimes I'm like, OG is very confident.
Not Deuce McBride levels of confident, but still pretty confident.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, about Queen. I think even early in the season when Brunson didn't play, the Knicks played some games. I think they won some games without Brunson, and they were scoring a lot of points too. The ball was moving and all that stuff. So it's so much. I think it's just the ball movement and the players and stuff like that. That's what it is. But if you get back to ISO ball and pounding the ball, sometimes, like I said, that slows down, it bogs down the offense over guys just standing around the 3-point line. And then again, early in the season, they was making shots. Now he's just missing a lot of open shots, a lot of missed shots, and that's part of the problem.
Brunson's dribbles per possession is significantly down from last year too. So, I think it's down from 6 to 4 or something like that. So it's like it is considerably down. So I mean, and I get it. We want to see the ball move more and those sorts of things. But some of the stats do indicate that he is definitely trying to improve that aspect of his game, even if it's not necessarily showing through on with the eye test and on certain levels of the court. But he, from that aspect, he's not pounding the ball as much as he was last season.
And I don't think it looks the same to me. Like last year, I was like, my goodness, like he's bringing the ball up all the time. He's like, to me, it does look different. And listen, when you're a scorer like that, there are times when you do have to take over games, right? There are times when you do have to make the point, generate points for yourself and for the team. But if nobody is hitting, that's the time when you do have to get the work, So I think it's a balance, because I don't want Jalen Brunson coming out there and trying to be Halliburton and just passing the ball around and just being a facilitator. That's not going to work for the Knicks, because they just don't have any guy that can consistently put the ball in the basket, in my opinion. So I do think he has to find more of a balance. I would agree with that.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that he's just going to come out there and just abandon his game as a scorer.
Oh, no.
That scoring opens up. If you know how to work it, it doesn't matter if you pass first or shoot first. If you know how to work it, even a shoot first point guard can be dynamic in terms of creating opportunities. It's just something that he has to. It's something that he has to do. Get better.
I would still like to find our Eric Snow. I still would. I wonder what that would look like. You know what I mean? If we just had that kind of guy who could, and what he unlocked with Iverson and took that team to the finals where they lost to the Lakers. But I don't think anybody thought that roster should have even been there except for the brilliance of AI. So I'm still kind of wondering from a roster construction standpoint if we wouldn't be better off finding ourselves. Obviously, archetype is different, the game is different, but somebody who can shoulder some of the point guard responsibilities and allow him to play off ball with impunity and can defend the bigger guards. Maybe a Drew Holiday or somebody like that, and he may be a little bit too far past his prime, but and DeJounte Murray, if he was healthy, which he's not, but that kind of archetype player next to Brunson that he's never really had, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think that player has to take the ball out of Brunson's hands totally. But just having two guards that can go, back and forth, and both can, run the offense. To me, I feel like that's the Knicks' best chance of winning a championship, in my opinion. They have to me, and I thought it was a priority after last season as well. They didn't. Clearly, they didn't agree with me. We shall see.
But you know what I'm saying? I think part of that is because of the Knicks up against the second apron. You got, it's the salary. If you had like big contracts instead of 4, you can, round out the team with that. But you're not getting really a good point guard at $1 million a veteran minimum, So you got to give $7 or $10 million for a good backup point guard. And we didn't have that.
You got to move one of the wing stops. To me, I feel like it's so important for the Knicks championship aspirations. I would move one of them. Now, obviously, I wouldn't move one of them for Drew Holiday right now. Again, he's at the end of his career. But if you found a player like that with that architect that's in their prime, or maybe even slightly yeah. Because the Knicks window is not 8 years. The Knicks window was 3 years? So I would definitely give up. For me, it would be Bridges for that type of player if we can get them. If we can get them.
I was gonna say you might as well say Bridges. One of the wing stops to just come out and say Bridges, Queen.
Because some would say that they would give up OG.
Nah, come on. OG contributed more than Bridges. Bridges not contributed nothing to his team, man.
I think that's a bit of an overstatement.
But I think if I had a choice, it would be Bridges more than OG, at least because OG could probably go against Jalen Brown and Tatum and something like that compared to Bridges if you had to keep one. That's all. I would rather do that. Have a bigger wing than Bridges. But a point guard I would like would have been Tyus Jones, but he was priced out of our range. A
But he's
ball
a
handler,
smallish
strong ball.
guard, though,
Yeah,
isn't
but
he?
he's a strong ball handler. That's the thing. It was a strong ball handler, like to help. Because a lot of these guys, their handles are too weak, man. When the Knicks get pressured and stuff like, they're going to turn the ball over. You see, and you need a strong secondary ball handler with Brunson.
Okay, sure. Oh, JJ said he would trade
Both.
he would trade
I,
both of them.
I wouldn't mind keeping OG Anunoby. I think he could be helpful.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on Brunson? Let's get to Mikal and OG. Then we're gonna get to Cat. That's gonna be like a whole other. Yeah, what you was gonna say?
You talking about the wing?
Oh no! I was laughing at. We kind of started on Mikal Bridges already. Then you say let's go to Mikal. I'm like, oh man, Queen want to pound on him.
Well, I mean,
you want to trade him now. You want to talk about him.
Well, I want to talk about both of them. I mean, the idea was that you have two weak defenders, and that you were gonna, start Mitchell Robinson, which they did to start the season with those two guys, and that was going to really help the Knicks on the defensive front. And I think the question is, have they held up their end of the bargain defensively, or do you feel that it's just too much to ask them to cover for the defensive flaws of a Brunson or Cat?
I think this is where the problem is on the Knicks. This is what hamstrings the Knicks is these two wing players. I don't think they're worth the money. I mean, maybe one like OG or something like that, but two of them is like that's what's clogging up our team. If you had like 3 contracts, that's great. But when you got 4 contracts, those guys have better be 4 good players. And I don't think we got that. Because like I said, I can't count on one any day to really slow down any of the top players in the league. And maybe they might do it one game here, but in a series, I can't see that. That's what we got them here for. So if we can't be confident that both of them could do their job in a playoff series, then it doesn't make sense to have both of them. One guy is enough. That means you're overpaying for 2 guys. And so this is where, we're top heavy at. We're top heavy at those 2 wing stop position. We could have got it much cheaper. Najee Marshall, somebody like that. Look at the dude Goodwin on Phoenix. These are cheap players that can play the position Mikal Bridges is doing. And we got to pay this guy $40 million next season or $39 million, whatever it is. So I don't think coming into the season, like I said, Mikal Bridges is too lackadaisical for me, man. The fall away jump shots, things like that. I could live without it, man. And the 5 draft picks, I'm not going to harp over that and cry over that because that's already done with. But I don't think he was worth it. But for me, I'll get rid of one of them, and it'll be most likely I'll keep Anunoby than Bridges because, like I said, you need like the bigger wing player and things like that to, because at least OG could play probably at the 4 at some point. Mikal can't play the 4 at all, not at all. So you can move OJ from the 4 to the 3. So I'll keep OG.
Yeah, I will say about the other guys you mentioned, they may be better defenders, but Brunson needs help. Like I don't think you could just surround Brunson with just a lot of defensive players. I think you do need players that can shoot the ball, and offer something on the offensive end. But I do get your point about $40 million for Bridges. I think the Knicks thought they were getting more. Remember when they signed him, this was somebody who went to Brooklyn and was the number 1 option for a year and a half. That he was going to come here and be number 3. And then I'm pretty sure they thought, like, we're going to get secondary ball handling from this guy. We're going to get secondary playmaking from this guy. And on the days when Brunson can't go, he's been in this role with Brooklyn. He can step into that role then. He just hasn't. That's just not Mikal Bridges. And that's something, at least That's what I'm seeing. And I think that's what we're learning about him. He's just too cool for school, you know?
All right.
Too cool for school. I don't really have a problem with the fadeaways and him not getting to the line because that's been his game forever. Like if that wasn't his game and he was somebody who got to the line 4, 5, 6 times a game, then he comes to the Knicks and now he's only getting 1. And I'm like, oh, whoa. But he's only averaged 2 free throws a game for his career. This is who he is in that respect. And I think the Knicks knew that. The Knicks knew they weren't getting somebody who was going to the line a lot. But I know sure as hell they thought they was going to get a better defender, more consistent defender, and more of a playmaker and ball handler. And in the beginning of the season, he was all of that. I was like, if this is Mikal Bridges and if this is OG Anunoby, we're going to win the chip this year. Like they were playing at a high level and then it just dipped off. That's why I try not to get so excited. I was excited about OG because there's a difference between a good stretch and the entire season where this is where I live now. This is where I live. This is not a good stretch. I live here. This is what I do. And I thought OG was there, but I don't think so. Ajay, thoughts on either one?
Well, you know how I feel about the two of them. If I have to get rid of one of them, it's gonna be Mikal Bridges. You know, the other day, Queen, there was a game, and I text you. I said, "Listen, I'm watching the game, but I'm actually just watching Mikal Bridges." Remember, I wanted to say I'm watching Mikal Bridges, see what he does, and he doesn't do much. Like he's suspect on offense, suspect on defense, and a lot of times, man, a lot of games he play, the one guy killing us is the one guy Mikal Bridges is supposed to be checking. You know, he doesn't go over the screens. Like it's this thing that he's avoiding contact, so he doesn't fight through the screens. You know, he doesn't. I don't know. It's just not. It's not. He's not. He turned out not to be the defensive player we thought he was gonna be when he came over here from the Brooklyn Nets, and he's not the. I mean, Brooklyn was the first option. He was number one option, so he was getting a lot of touches. But now, and I think somebody mentioned that in the chat, he's content to be the fourth option. If the ball comes to him, fine. But you know, he's not really aggressive, and you know, he's content to do his little mid range, his little, whatever little corner three he gets or whatever. But he just doesn't, like, he's just there, like literally gliding through it. If it happens, if it happens. If it doesn't, whatever. You know. And at the beginning of the show, that's what I said. Like, these guys, they don't play with the grit. They don't play with the passion like they want to be there. You know, they don't play like they want to win. You know, if you 8 years into the league, man, you don't need the coach to light a fire under you for you to want to come out and perform for all of them. These guys are making $40 million a year. You need Mike Brown to tell you go out there and play, man. Come on. You know, so I mean, and I think I mean, I don't know, man. And I agree that we probably could have, gotten somebody, a cheaper player to do what he's doing, give similar or better production. I mean, when DiVincenzo was here, we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
That was before we even thought that trade could happen, because the thing around town was that Brooklyn and Nets, they don't deal with each other, right? The Knicks and the Nets, they don't make trades. That doesn't happen. And like during one of the shows, I said, I don't see the point of trading for Mikal Bridges because his production is similar to what DiVincenzo is giving you, but for less money, right? And I'm not saying at that point, okay, and that's a couple of years back, obviously. So at that point, I didn't even know that could happen, that trade. And, I didn't even know that was before the whole Karl Anthony Town thing, that stuff. So I didn't think the Knicks was going to go in that direction, but they did. And we have him now, but he's not coming through. He's just not producing to what he should be. I think what he should be on this team is, he doesn't have to be a second option, but sometimes he should slide into the second option. He should be capable to slide in the second option if Karl Anthony Towns is having foul trouble. Same thing with OG Anunoby. Those guys are getting paid as second option. So you have to be able to fill in the gap if Cat goes out with foul trouble, if Cat doesn't play or whatever. But those guys, they're not.
I hear you guys talking about the money. You can give OG $500 million. He's not a second option. He had the leverage in the season in which the off season in which we paid him. The threat that he might go to Philly, and the Knicks decided to pay him. No way the Knicks thought he was a second option. He's just not.
No.
Yeah,
he's not paid like a second option either, though. Like if you look at his contract compared to league wide, like we sometimes live in the early 2000s or the 2010s, and we think, oh, $25 million contract, $40 million. The stars are making 60 and 70 nowadays, guys. So I think we need to adjust what, we tend to get, $40 million or what, we go crazy about this stuff.
Well, it's not just the money, right? We counting on you to be that, right? Forget the money, but we brought you in to be certain things, right? You got to deliver on what you're, the expectation. That's basically what it is. It's really not the amount of money.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because particularly with this collective bargaining agreement, like when you put that money out, that player, again, he doesn't have to be a second option, but whatever you paid him to do, they need to do that at that level, because there's no money where you could go out and be like, all right, we'll pay the tax. We're just going to go out and get somebody else to do what we paid this guy $45 million to do. No, in this collective bargaining agreement, every dollar you sign somebody for, there's an expectation, and you have to live up to that whatever your role is, whatever they thought your role is. Like it's not like, if you get set 40, you got to be the first. They signed you for a reason in terms of how you would fit into the roster, and we need that. And we're not getting that from OG Anunoby. We're not getting that from Mikal Bridges, and we're not getting that from Karl Anthony Towns, who we're going to get into a little later.
Case in point.
I'm going to just say there's one thing.
Yeah.
To whom much is given, much is required, man. I mean, fair or no fair, you're going to get that smoke. You sign that contract, you're going to get that smoke. That's all it is to it. And that 3-game trip, when Brunson was out, it showed me everything I need to know. These guys are not the guys. They were not aggressive. They were more passive-aggressive than anything. With Brunson being out, I was trying to see if these guys was going to step up, and neither one of these two guys stepped up. You had 3 players, Cat, Bridges, and Anunoby. They should have stepped up and be the main cogs and that stuff, But we're talking about Bridges and Anunoby. I didn't see that, man, and that tells me everything I need to know. They're not it, bro.
And that's what I'm saying. So I agree with you about Brunson getting off the ball and playing within the flow of the game, but don't give them too much responsibility. I just don't think they those dudes. And what I found out was in the San Antonio Cup game that Bridges handle. I was like, oh, look at this. Oh, this is great. Brunson is off ball. Bridges is bringing the ball up. He said, Castle and those guys threw that pressure on Bridges. He looked like a pterodactyl. The ball was like I was like, oh, this is this.
But Queen, you saw it in the Indiana series. The Indiana series showed us everything. We don't have ball handlers. I mean, Deuce McBride, Cameron Payne, Coley. I mean, whatever. It didn't matter. Them guys, they're not strong ball handlers. That's why I knew we needed a strong secondary ball handler. We don't have that, because when they put that pressure on, Coley can't even do that when he's getting pressured. He can't do it.
Right. There's somebody on my side. I finally found somebody in the universe who's on my side about the Knicks needing another ball handler. Everybody trying to tell me Mike Brown's system is going to be enough, and you don't really need another ball. When you get into the playoffs, you need strong ball handlers that can create their own shot for themselves and for others. But first, be able to get the damn ball over half court against pressure. Now, then we could talk about, creating for yourself. But you got to be able to get the ball over court against, and we don't have those those guys, in my opinion. I think Deuce Handle has gotten so much better than when he first got here. But we'll see in the playoffs when that pressure is clamped down, because that's different. We saw that with Quickly when he was here. He got to the playoffs, and was it Miami put that defense on? Quickly Handle was looking shaky. So
quickly faded quickly.
Yeah, there's somebody said something in the chat, and I want to get you guys. Let's see, did I start it? Okay, all right. I get Smooga. Whatever. Appreciate you. Can't blame Wingstop. You literally have Cat and Brunson on the court with you. They play zero defense. Cat doesn't even box out for rebounds. I do think there is more pressure on them playing with those two guys. I get it that Cat and Towns aren't good defensive players, but you can be good team defenders by just getting to your spot. I think that does help the Wings. And not having a point of attack defender also puts more pressure on those guys as well. But thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, man.
Now, I was gonna say something real quick. It is a little bit more pressure to play with those guys, but the teams, they figured it out, right? All they have to do is set one pick, and especially just one pick is all it takes. And then whoever especially Mikal Bridges, he does not get over the screen well at all. So you set one pick, and then somebody's all alone. Mikal Bridges is nowhere to be found. Okay, and that's all it takes. Teams, they could do that all day to get guys open.
But I think it's a lot of them. OG, like one screen, and the opposing team's offense is wide open. Every option is open. Off of one screen.
I think OG, he does an okay job at getting over the screen. Deuce definitely does a good job at getting over the screen. Shamet too. Landry Shamet does. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. Nobody else does.
But it's not even that. Yeah, I mean, we can go into defense for like the Knicks defense is just trash. The screen navigation is another part of it. The over rotation is another part of it. One pass away from the ball, these guys are already hedging. The driver didn't even put the ball on the floor to go anywhere. They already hedging into the team. And you're one pass away. I've seen Hart do this multiple times last game. You one pass away, 2-3 steps off the guy. Help it.
Josh Hart special.
And then they just passed it right to the wing, and the wing they pulled up for a 3. I'm like, what? Like this is basic. This is basic stuff. So yeah, I do get it. I've seen Brunson play better defense last year in terms of team defense and just being where he's supposed to be. There's been a drop off this season there as well with him. And I've seen Cat earlier in the season be better with his rotations, but now he's back to being Cat. The clock is struck 12, and he's back to.
I'm gonna go back to saying what I'm saying. If you're a defensive player, you're a defensive player, regardless of what's going on out there. You watch Dylan Brooks, you watch some other guys. They could give a hell about who's out there. They still gonna play their defense on a man, whatever. You can't give excuses like you can't get over a pick or anything like that. You got to play. That's your bread and butter. Go ahead and do what you got to do. I don't see the aggressiveness on the defensive end. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, and that's part of the problem. Yeah, Brunson and Cat are a bad defensive player, but you still got to do things for your man too. Shut your man down. Do what you got to do. Be a menace out there. I don't see them being a menace out there on a consistent basis.
But I will say that you do have to be somewhat on the string. Like in this NBA, because there's a lot of screens, you're gonna get screened off, and if you're not getting any help to slow a guy down until you're able to get back in the picture, like this is not like OG is on. Let's just pick Jimmy Butler, and it's just one-on-one, no picks, no screens. It's just one. Like that's very different than if you're getting picked off. Like, you do need teammates to help, because the ball is going to rotate. Teams aren't moving. I mean, excuse me, if you're not in rotation properly, or you're doubling the ball, somebody's open, the ball moves faster. So I get
you
it,
get it.
but you need help. No one player in this NBA is going to shut down another player with nobody else on the team helping you out.
But I'm gonna say this: a lot of the Knicks defensive play, it's not even screens. It's just it's like they double and triple teaming like one guy. For what reason? That's their
I
problem.
agree with
You
that.
don't have to. It's not even screens. They just, and that's why they always out of place.
No,
I mean, it could be a bench players, and they just, I mean, some Joe Schmo, and they just double team them. Who is this guy?
Totally agree. I totally agree. They create advantages for the other team. The team doesn't even have to get into the key and force you to rotate. The Knicks are just going to double team for no reason and put you in rotate. Like, the Knicks is helping the other team out defensively. Oh, boy. Okay. He drops back on every screen. Okay. Edward Walker, will the Knicks turn it around? I really hope so.
Can I say
They had
something about
they had a players meeting, so we'll see.
For a second?
Sure, absolutely.
I think that what I've been noticing since they've been together is if they were a Venn diagram on defense, there would be so much overlap. I mean, their skill set would just kind of envelop one another. I think they do a lot of the same things defensively. One is bigger than the other, but they're both ideally at the 3 spot. Neither one of them is a lockdown point of attack defender where you can just say, you know what I mean? Where you can just trust them and say, okay, you're going to shut down this guy, right? I don't think either one of those, but they're both excellent team defenders and excellent help defenders. They're really good when they have help of getting into the passing lanes. And we saw that earlier this year, especially with Bridges. He was getting in the passing lanes. And Anunoby too. They were both like playing 1.5, but neither guy is designed to shut down the primary offensive threat from the other team, regardless of position, in my opinion. If you have someone like a Jalen Brown, maybe a little bit more, because they have a little bit more of a chance like that. But most archetypes, the little guards are too fast for both of them, and the big guys can just overpower them. Especially Bridges can't play physical with anyone. So those two guys are good defensive players, but they're not lockdown, shutdown defensive players. And our best point of attack defenders are Deuce and Shaman, and neither one of those guys is better than average, in my opinion, as point of attack defenders. And so what we're doing is we're relying on these guys to be these elite defenders, and they're not. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. They have they're both good defensive players, but they're not the guys that you can just rely on and say, okay, take this guy out of a game, or we need to get a stop, put the guys, and especially when it comes to guarding smaller players, they don't have the foot speed and the quickness to really stay with them on a consistent basis. You see, if you have them in rotation, you saw at the end of the Boston series, 2 consecutive games, Bridges saved the game. Right. And those were excellent defensive plays. So it's not that he's a bad defensive player, but he's not a lockdown defensive player. And we're playing him out of position. And I think we're playing OG out of position as well. And so I think that the overlap of their skill sets is so great that maybe breaking them up and bringing someone in who can defend multiple positions but smaller might be beneficial to furthering the how well the team plays than just trying to keep them together, because they just seems like there's too much overlap in what they do, and we need more versatility when it comes to the defense.
That's fair. Okay.
Queen.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
No, I was just say something real quick. Something out of the blue, it just popped in my head. I just want to share with you guys. Yeah, so during the game, they usually have like a halftime interview with one of the assistant coaches, right?
Hmm.
And yes, during yesterday's game, whoever the coach was, they give an interview. He was like, "Oh, we getting killed in the paint, and these guys, we letting them." And I'm like, "Wait a minute." So I checked. I'm like, "What's he looking at?" Half their points came from the 3-point line at that point. Half Dallas's points came from the 3-point line. This guy's talking about he's getting killed in the paint. That's
Yeah, but when it's half of 75, AJ, that still means they're getting a ton of points in the paint.
No,
and they were killing us in the paint too.
No, you're getting killed from the 3-point line because
both. It was both.
Both.
It was both. That's what I'm saying.
The transition deep. They had 27 fat.
But
Like that's harder in the paint too, right?
He points out the paint. I'm like, what about the 3-point line? Is he not seeing that other half? Like that's exactly my point, Jeff. He's saying the paint as if the 3-point. He's not getting killed from the 3-point line.
But it was a fast break.
All around.
32-2. That was a fast break. That's 30 extra points. 32-2 at some point. That's unacceptable, man.
Unacceptable. And you can see it in transition. I watch because the thing about it is sometimes, to Ajay's point, you got to key in on certain things and key in on certain players because it's just so hard when you're watching the game to see everything. So I said, let me watch this transition defense. Knicks getting back.
Thank you.
Not deep enough. Or they'll get back and point to somebody. This one is open in the corner. Get him. There's nobody to get. And that player, so they're not locating players in transition. They're not getting back in transition. They don't know who the hot hand is. I'm like, this team defensively is a mess.
And that's with guards. When you have guards, you should never get beat back with guards. And the Knicks be having 4 guards on the court sometimes. How do you get beat? How do you get beat back in transition? Guards are supposed to be the fastest players back. That's because they're not hustling.
Yeah. But hustling is part of it. With defense, hustling and effort is a big part of it. But execution is a part of it too. Like knowing where you're supposed to be in terms of the schemes.
Exactly.
As well. And I just feel like the Knicks, I'm like, this can't be the scheme. Like this just can't be it. I hear you, Jeff. McBride may not be a Dyson Daniels type of perimeter defender, point of attack defender. But if you do start him, it does allow Bridges and OG to be, and you brought this point up in the past, to defend the way they're comfortable defending, right? But even I have to say though, even if you put them on a wing, those wings get screened too. You got to fight over screens too. Like if you put him on Jimmy Butler's going to get a screen as well. So it's not like if they're playing a wing, they won't have to deal with any screen navigation. They still will. But I do agree they are better defending wings, getting in passing lanes, things of that sort, than trying to defend at the top of the key. Somebody's bringing the ball down.
And another thing, bullying. They get bullied sometime down there. They get bullied. Them players are just going right into them, going right through their chest and going up for scores. Don't care who's down there, unless Mitch is like hanging around. But if not, they're going right down there.
Even if Mitch is in the game, they go right down there nowadays. That's one of my frustrations with him this year.
Not as much, Mitch. Nah, Mitch got some respect down there, man. He got some respect down there.
I think I don't think it's like it used to be, but he does have. And it could be the ankle, but yeah, he's not the Mitch on the defensive end. He once was, but he's still solid. He's still solid. JJ, they not letting us off the hook with nothing in the chat. JJ said, we started Deuce McKell and OG versus the Warriors and still gave up 130 points. JJ, you're right. I just feel like because theoretically what I just said would work, or I hope it would work, But at this point, this team is so out of sorts, broken, lack of chemistry, cohesion. I don't even know if just that one thing changes up everything, because so many things are not going right now.
What if we tried taking away the 3-point shot instead of, you know what I mean? Just to see what happened. Like, let's just stay with the shooters all game and give up what we give up in the paint and see what that does. Like, I mean, it can't be a whole lot worse than what we're seeing now. Like at least try. Like, they literally had 2 guys on the hot sheet to guard, and we let one of them shoot 8 for 10 and the other 4 for 7. Like, what in the world? Like, stay on the perimeter and stick with the guy.
Yeah,
that's a good idea, actually. Give up the paint, but protect the 3-point line. Let's see what happens.
What are we going to be, 34th in defense instead of 32nd? What's the danger at this point?
Listen, mathematically, it should work to our advantage, right? They score less points, more 2-pointers. I don't know.
Yeah. Shout out to Paris Duggar. 5 games of a healthy Brunson and Hart, and we return to being a top contender. The others are just role players.
And Hart ain't even healthy. He just came back because we're desperate. He really ain't even healthy.
From your lips to God's ears, Paris Duggar. I think it's going to take. I think it's going to take more than that.
Well, that's why we play the game.
USA dreaming. Okay. A few more comments, then we're going to move on to Cat. And you guys have anything else to say about Bridges and Anunoby? Listen, if the Knicks are looking to make a trade, are you okay with any one of those going if it makes the team? Any one of them going if it makes the team better?
Bridges.
Try to hold on to.
Make the team better. I don't care who has to go. Make the team better.
You don't care which one.
I don't. I want the Knicks to win a championship. I don't care which 15 guys it is. I haven't seen one in my entire lifetime. Like, I don't care if it's Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Goofy that lead us to the championship parade. That doesn't matter to me. You got Knicks on the front. That's the only, and you hoist in the O'Brien Trophy. Those are the only qualifications I care about.
Yeah, but Queen, what's out there though? Like who?
Listen, sometimes these trades you'll be like, wow, I didn't even know that guy was on the market. So there may be something out there we don't know about.
I mean, either way, man. Let's say if we get rid of Bridges, it's still a L. Like if you get I don't know, whatever. I can't even think of who they'd get to replace him. To
yeah, I don't know if the player has to be as better than Bridges, but if it makes the team better, would that be okay?
Yeah, it would be okay. But then you think back, you're like, damn, we give up so many picks for that okay player, even though it makes the team okay. So, and people say, well, it's only 5 picks. Those kids, they were in the 7th grade. Like, that's not the point. It's the draft capital. It's not the 5 picks or the players you could have gotten with those 5 picks. It's the fact that you can't get a trade because you have nothing else to throw in the trade, to improve your team. You know what I'm saying?
And you added a non-all-star to do it.
Yeah. So
you get them, and I guess that the price is I guess the Rudy Gobert trade and the Dylan. What was the trade that Memphis made to Orlando?
Desmond Bain.
Desmond Bain. That's right. It's got a similar pick package. So maybe picks aren't as valued as highly as we think they are because those are the types of players you're getting with that. And the past, that was the return for guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden and those sorts of things. But draft picks are lottery tickets, but it's sometimes you need that lottery ticket.
Yep.
Shout out to D Grant. I think this is a great point, and be sure to catch Jeff and I on the recap shows the day after the
Mhm.
game. We talked about this as well. D Grant 63. There was never any defense, even when the Knicks were winning. It was covered up by high percentage shooting. But once teams figured out how to defend, got exposed. Yeah, there was a game where it was just shot for shot. I think this we won 134 to 132 or so, or something of that sort. But the idea was, excuse me, this is an elite offense. Obviously, and on the days when we don't shoot well, we're gonna lose. But how many days will that be? Because OG at that time was killing. Bridges at that time was killing. The ball was moving. The play. I said, "Oh, whoa." I was like, we don't even need it. If we could just get our defense to 12, maybe 14, we're gonna be fine the way this offense is
Well,
going.
OG and Mikal are still killing, guys. They're just killing us instead of the others.
They just killing us. Oh boy, I think we have a super chat. Let's get to that. Parish Duggar, appreciate you always rocking with us. Appreciate the generous super chat. This core earned the benefit of the doubt in high leverage games so far. There has been 2 in Vegas. They've proven who they are in a series scenario. That's fair. That's fair. Like, what are you going to? And you can say this about individual players as well. Are
Mhm.
you going to put a lot into a bad stretch? Or are you going to look at those high leverage games in the cup and in the playoffs last season? Um, and who is this team? Who is this core really? That's a fair point, and you could say that for any player as well. Who's struggling right now. Like, we know who this player is, whether that's Cat, whether that's I don't know much about Bridges, OG, but Cat's been in the league 11 years. So, is this who he is right now? Is he falling off? Or are you going to, you know, base it on we know who he is. He just needs to play better. So that's fair, Paris Duggar. So he's taking the macro long view that he knows who this core is. And I take it you're not getting rattled by what's going on right now. Okay. All right. Okay. Um, anything else before we move to Cat? All right, let's move to Cat. Is trading Cat the cure-all to this team getting right?
Depends for whom, I suppose, but I would say in general, no, because most of the players that you would get in return for Cat are not as good as he is. And so, if you're talking about Cat being the centerpiece of a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, then okay, then I'll listen to that and say that it's possible. But he's struggled with his shot this year. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not one who typically believes in just addition by subtraction. Just get rid of this guy and pieces parts is gonna make up the difference. I don't think that's true, and especially when he's our leading rebounder and he's even if he's not shooting the ball well, he still has a gravity that most other players don't have, and it's a gravity that out at the beyond the top of the arc 3-point shots, which are not something that most of our team shoots very often. So it gives us a different look on offense, and it makes us more versatile on the offensive end. I don't think we're using him as well as we could right now, and that's on the coaching staff. I think he needs to figure out how to shoot better. I mean, his percentages are way down, but
Right.
look, if you're going to be getting rid of an All NBA player or an All Star player, you better be bringing back an All Star player in return. Or to me, it's wasting assets. I think that. I think there are some players that you can trade him for, but the list is pretty small, and those players typically don't become available. So, you can't. I don't think you can just trade Cat for 3 defensive players who don't have any offensive upside, for instance. You know, Lee Escobedo, who's a lot smarter than I am about basketball, and I were having this discussion the other night, and I made the analogy that it was pennies on the dollar for one of his trades, and he thought that was disingenuous, and maybe it was, but that's not what really I meant. What my point is you can't. I don't think you can trade Cat for a player who's 80% of Cat plus pieces parts and have those parts come up better than what the whole of Towns is. And that's just my personal opinion. I admit to being a fan of Towns' game. I think he's one of the most dynamic offensive players that the game has ever seen. For whatever reason, he's struggling with his shot, but you know, and he's frustrating at times. Yes, but you know, and then that's the whole point, JJ. You don't see how you could get equal value for Cat, then you don't trade him. If you're not going to get at least equal value, then you hold on to the asset. You don't just, you know, sell it for at a discount, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jeff. I mean, a player like Cat, like I said, Giannis would be the best one that I would think of, you know, even though that might be hard. But if it is something that's available, I would trade him in a heartbeat for Giannis, who's always in the MVP conversations. Cat is never in the MVP conversations, you know, so that's a difference. And people could say about the shooting, I could care less about shooting. All I need is a bucket getter. If you could put the ball in the basket, that's what I care about. And if you're averaging 20, I mean, almost 30 points a game, you're doing something. You know, Giannis is a one-man fast break. He's an energetic player, and he, like I said, he's a two-way player, so that's even better. But if he's not available, I mean, somebody like Jaren Jackson I've seen so far, yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. I mean, sometimes in the NBA, you're never, ever going to get equal value for a player, you know, where, you know, Jaren Jackson, that'd probably be about it.
Yeah, I think if we are complaining about Cat, we're going to have equal complaints about Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he is better defensively, rim protection, but you're not getting rebounding. And offensively, I'm not saying he's not good offensively. I'm just saying he ain't Cat offensively. But you will be better defensively in terms of rim protection. Ajay, your take on do you think trading Cat helps this team?
Well, I know you said it depends on who you get, and you Jeff, I don't think you probably not gonna get equal value for him on the trade market. You know, because I mean, think about it. What other team has a player as talented as Cat want to get rid of him, right? For Cat, who we know is very talented offensively, but lack in other areas like, you know, defense or IQ and stuff like that, right? So you're probably not gonna get. So if you trade Cat, it's probably gonna be a little bit of a loss, right? But you got to get something that you can plug into this team that's gonna make a difference, right? I don't think. I mean, I personally I don't want to see Cat get traded because, you know, I feel he's very valuable to this team. You know, if my only thing with him, even the poor defense, I think we could survive that. It's the low IQ plays. I mean, those things are killing me, man. Those things, like, he's unavailable. You know what I'm saying? He can't play because of the low IQ and because of the silly fouls. In terms of his offense, I think, you know, it's just mechanics, man. He's just got to understand he's a good shooter. I think he's got to shoot a little more and try to mix and match a little more. He doesn't do anything in the post, man. I wish he would do a little bit more in that. Keep the defense guessing what he's going to do next, because right now he's not shooting well this season, so they know there's like a 70% chance he's going to try to drive the ball, so they wait for the drive, right? They wait to pick his pocket because they know what he's going to do. You know, so, but I mean, he has a history in this league. We know he can shoot. I just hope he get his shot back, and that'll make a difference. I hope, you know, I hope we can fix him instead of trading him. He's not the one I would want to trade.
And if you do trade him, you got to get back a number one or a number two. Like this idea that you're going to bring back some more role players, and then we complaining that Brunson doesn't pass, and then you're going to bring in more role players that's dependent on Brunson. No, if you're going to win a championship, you need at least 2 championship caliber players, and you can argue that Brunson is not a 1, that he's a 2. Well, if that's the case, then you got to bring in a 1. But you can't trade Cat unless you feel like you have a number 2 on the team already. If you feel like Bridges and OG is it, then you can move on from Cat and get some role players to fill in, then do it. I don't think they are. And you need somebody to pair with Brunson if you're really serious about winning a championship. And it can't be just a team, Brunson and a team full of role players. I just don't think that's gonna cut it. And we could talk about chemistry and all of that, but when you get to the playoffs, you need dogs, you need players that could put the ball in the basket and that could get their own shot. So Memphis, they talk to Memphis, they talk to Charlotte. I don't even know what Charlotte would have to offer. I think they would just being a facilitator. I don't see what they have to offer. And why would we trade with Orlando? Like, why would we trade Cat to Orlando?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like handing them exactly what they need to take the next step. It's like, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't.
But who would it be? Who would it be? Is they talking about Banchero? Because they ain't talking about Banchero.
Maybe a multi-team trade.
Because if they talking about Suggs,
you don't want Banchero. If y'all hate Cat, you're not going to like Banchero very much. I can just tell you that right now.
Yeah, his shooting hasn't been great, and I think one of my fears is that Cat goes someplace to a team that knows how to use him, and he's back to last year's form. He's just not shooting well. Even on open shots, he's not shooting well. Like, we could talk about scheme, and they need to put him in better places to make his life easier. But even open shots, he's missing. Yeah, and that wasn't the case last season.
He's having a tough season.
Listen, all I want to say, I want to see Cat in the playoff. When they play physical and all that stuff, I want to see how he's going to react, just like how Julius Randle did here. And if he can't get through it in the playoff, he's always going to be that type of player. They always going to get in his head.
In the playoffs last year, and he did respond. We saw him in the playoffs last year, and he did respond.
I'm talking about going forward this season. That's in the last season was about this season where they've been going and stuff. I want to see if they're going to get it together. We'll see if they can get it together and see how they get in the playoffs, see how they play in the playoffs. Because every year is a different year. Every year is a different year.
No, I get that.
Oh, okay. If.
Right. No, the Knicks are getting in the playoffs now. Come on now. But listen, we already saw Cat in the playoffs. He wasn't soft. So the idea that, he wasn't soft last year, but he might be soft this year. I mean, he's played in the playoffs. This is not the first time. So I get that he's struggling right now. I just don't have any qualms about Cat being soft in the playoffs. Like, he was one of our best players last year in the playoffs. He's struggling right now. No doubt about it. He is struggling. Some of it is scheme, but some of it is him missing at the rim. Oh man, missing wide open shots. Giving you 2 good plays and then a boneheaded play, like being loose with the ball. You touch him, the ball is rolling out of bounds. Like, he's frustrating.
Right, but you know, in the playoffs, they let you get away with more fouls and be more aggressive. They let you get away. They let you play more in the playoffs.
I don't understand how you get away with more fouls than what they do.
They let it happen.
Like, Cat gets Detroit last year, murdered. Yeah. It'll be the same thing, but Cat gets murdered on an absolutely nightly basis already. So, I literally don't think there's more that you can do to, like, they punch him in the chest, they hit him like they're allowed to get, and then it's an offensive foul on him because he retaliates. But the Towns takes a beating on a nightly basis, and the refs are just like, everything's fine, no foul here, nothing to see.
That's why the kicking in nuts. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, You know what?
However we get it, even if it hurts us, we just
they call it phantom like offensive fouls on him anyway. You might as well kick somebody in the nuts.
He's like, at least he got his money's worth.
You got your
You
money.
did it to the wrong guy, though. If you're going to do that, do it to like Grayson Allen or somebody like that who really deserves it.
Right. I hear you, D. Grant, but you know what? We didn't only play the Pacers. And Cat wasn't the only one that struggled against the Pacers as well. So did Brunson. So did Hart. Right? So let's not act like we had 2 series before we got to Indiana. And if it wasn't for Cat, we don't even get out of that Detroit series.
That's true. 100%.
You know? Paris Douglas, so 1 month erases 2 years of high leverage winning. To some people, it does. To some people, it does. Knicks Nation, I miss RJ. I don't miss RJ Barrett. I miss RJ Barrett, and without Randall, then RJ would be ideal on this team.
I think the other way around. I miss Randall. without RJ, Randall would be ideal for this team.
I don't miss either one. I'm perfectly happy that they're off performing well in their other locations. God bless them and Godspeed.
Come on, Jeff. You don't miss Randall spinning into a double team, losing the ball. Like,
absolutely not.
I actually really liked Randall when he was here, and other than like the thumbs down business, I thought he and the injuries, were unfortunate. But I was not anti Randall. I just I have no problem with him being elsewhere. RJ Barrett either.
I did not lose any sleep over the thumbs down business. It didn't.
Yeah. All right. Paris Douglas says OKC, Boston, Cleveland, Golden State, Denver last year 0-14. Okay. Yeah. I don't miss. I call that the Bam Bam unit. I don't miss that at all. Okay.
And every team got these crazy kids that come out of nowhere and go crazy. I was watching the Houston game, man. Reed Shepherd just went bonkers tonight.
He's a former lottery pick, though, wasn't
he? Yeah, he's the 3rd pick.
He's a 3rd pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
tough loss for the Spurs, man. They scored 14 points in the 4th quarter. They must be watching Knick film.
I mean, the thing with so break forever. Maybe you right. Keep Towns and see what happens. My thing is, you don't want to trade Cat, and then Brown doesn't even make it through the. Brown gets fired in the off season. Like, I just think you just got to be sure. You got to be sure.
I don't want to see that traded. I don't want to see him get traded, at least not this season. So, I think he can get back into form. Get 20 points a game or whatever he was doing.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we get to the front office and get out of here?
Nope.
So keep Cat unless there's something that comes along that makes us significantly better.
Unless a Giannis trade, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's why Tibbs is going. I don't even think it was X's and O's for them. It wasn't X's and O's at all. It wasn't lineups. It wasn't adjustments. He wasn't talking to them. And he didn't have the support of the players as well. All right. Front office. one of the things I struggle with, and this is with coaching as well, is when the team is winning, the coach is great. When the team is losing, the coach is a bum. When the team is winning, the front office made all the right moves. Day to dawn, team start losing, front office is trash, and they should be gone. I just have a hard time with things like that. Just your thoughts on the front office in terms of how they constructed this roster, what you would have liked to have seen, or what you would like to see going forward. Escort?
Yeah, I think one of the things with the front office, the only one I could see is the Mikal Bridges trade. I think they really should have got Donovan Mitchell at that time. If you're going to give up those picks, you give it up for Donovan Mitchell, not for Mikal Bridges. I think that's the one that they dropped the ball on that one. And as far as the construction of the team, the cat trade, like I said, that caught me off guard. That totally caught me off guard because I thought we was going to come back and run it back with those same guys that we had because they was hurt in the playoffs. And I thought if they really brought the same team back, I think we was going to make it further if them guys was healthy because that was a physical team that was great. Nobody wanted to play us, with that squad. So, but then they pulled the thing over our wool over our eyes and it's like it was gone just like that. I really wanted to see that team and see what they were done. But now, like I said, last year the team played great. But like I said, this year something must be going on inside the but it doesn't look good. And it's up to the players to fix it. If they can't fix it, we are going to implode. And we're going to implode quickly before the playoffs. And if we don't make, I have to say, if we don't make the playoffs, all hell's going to break loose. All hell will break loose.
That's a fact. But is it just the players that have to fix it, not the front office?
Well, I mean, yeah, the front office too. But if there's something going on inside the locker room, something's got to happen. I just don't see how these guys just stop playing and just something. It's more to it than that. I don't know what's going on. And they can have these players only meeting, but if it doesn't change, nothing changed. Then yeah, the front office is going to have to do something. But if they can start making some changes and see what happens, coming after this Nets game, and see what's going on. But if not, the front office is going to have to do something. But if they could right the ship, we will be all right. But we'll see.
So basically for you, the only complaint is the Bridges trade?
The Bridges trade, yeah. And like I said, the cat trade caught me by surprise. That's what I say. I just want to see if they're going to run it back. But, it is what it is.
Okay. Anybody else, Ajay or Geoff?
Well, to me, I think that we talked about this a little bit. I think on the lunchtime live, the additions of Clarkson and Yabusele feel like they're Fournier and Kemba part 2. Like they don't really seem to fit in with what we want to do and our identity as a team. And maybe it wasn't wise to lock those two in before you had a coach, or maybe it would have been wise to hire your coach sooner so they would have had input. But it just kind of feels like we hired Mike Brown, but Mike Brown doesn't have a Mike Brown roster. He's got a lot of talent, but that doesn't mean that it's talent that's suited to the style of play that he prefers. I kind of think that in the final calculus, one of OG or Mikal Bridges has got to go. But I think that conversation probably won't happen until the off season when we on draft night, we unlock 2 first-round picks, and we'll be more equipped to make a larger scale move and maybe have more information about how we finish in the playoffs and what we need to take a step forward. But in the meantime, we've got a decision to make on Mitchell Robinson, right? Do we keep him on the roster and risk losing him for nothing in free agency? Do we extend him and put ourselves into the over the second apron? I don't think that's what we're going to do. So, or do you trade him and not necessarily get back what you otherwise would given the circumstances? So there are difficult decisions to be made on the roster in the weeks ahead. I mean, you're talking about roughly 2 weeks away, but we can't afford to just sit back and wait for those 2 weeks. We're in crisis mode now. Like something has to happen. And I'm not saying we need to make a trade now. I'm just saying that we can't just say, oh, everything's going to be fine at 301 on the trade deadline because these players know that they're going to be here. Well, your season could be completely ruined if you don't right the ship between now and then at least a little bit, right? And so, look, they built this team, they brought in this guy, and if it just doesn't work out, then they deserve to be under scrutiny, and it's that ultimately they're the ones who are responsible because they're the ones who put the team together. It would be silly to say, you bought all the groceries, but you don't have any responsibility for the meal that was produced. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk before we leave about extending Mitch and McBride. Actually, Ajay, anything on the front office? And you're going to go all the way back to Obi?
Oh,
Obi
you know
Toppin.
what? I forgot about Obi. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, man.
No, but I won't go into detail. So the front office, so there certain moves they make, you like basketball wise, you could see what it is they're trying to do. But I think they made a lot of bad moves. I mean, obviously they made plenty of good moves as well. Like, clearing the way to signing Jalen Brunson, that worked out. But they made moves that you know what they were trying to do, but it didn't work out. And I don't blame them for this. If a player doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you can understand the moves that they make. Certain moves they made, to me, make no. Queen, I hated the Cat trade, bringing in Cat for Randall and DiVincenzo. Not because we were bringing Cat, but because we were losing DiVincenzo, who I thought was a formidable guy coming off the bench who could start too. He was coming off the bench, but he was literally a starter coming off the bench. We had that guy. I think we only had him for $12 million. I mean, that was prime. That was great value for what he was producing at that point. We got rid of him to bring Cat. I really hated that trade. The Mikal Bridges to 5 picks again. I mentioned that a little while ago, not because of the 5 picks or what those players could be, but because of the asset, the trading value of those 5 picks. You kind of handcuffs. You can't do anything because you have nothing to offer. You have a bunch of second round picks that nobody's interested in. So you can't really, there's not much you could do. I mean, there's a lot of, the Cam Reddish and Kemba Walker, like a lot of stuff. As egregious as those trades were, I understood what they were doing with those trades, what they were trying to do. Kemba, they tried Kemba, like he had nothing left in him, right? But if he had a little bit of something, it would have been helpful. The Evan Fournier, like a lot of those, I understood. Even Yabusele, Queen, I was very happy when they got Yabu because, I saw what he did in Philly last season.
You were.
Right? Yeah, but then you understand what it is they trying to do. It didn't work out. Now I can't wait to get rid of that guy.
But guess what, AJ? He has a team option. I mean, he has a player option.
I know,
not a team option. That's the problem.
That's why he got rid of him before he applied that team option. So let somebody else deal with it.
Yeah, I was burnt with the Kemba trade, but I didn't see what they were trying to do at the time because we had money, we had cap space. Lonzo Ball was out there, pre-injury, and I was like, "What the hell are the Knicks doing? Shopping at the dollar store when they have cap space to bring in a injured Kemba Walker?" I didn't like that. And I was,
he was. I think they only had him for $10 million. But what made it worse?
But you had $100 million, for example. So there was no reason to go bargain hunting.
I know.
Unless they had Brunson in mind. Yeah, but ahead of time, then fine.
Yeah, but still, the blunder, like what they paid to get rid of him, was a blunder. And I think that's the only thing they could have done, right? Because remember what they had to do?
To give up Jalen Duran, draft pick.
Exactly. So they had to ship him to Detroit with Kemba Walker to make room for Brunson. So all those were bad moves, man.
But why was that a bad move? It allowed us to get Brunson, though.
Well, I know, but look at Jalen Duran now. I'm saying it was a bad move. Looking at it now, you see Kemba. I understood what they were trying to do with Kemba Walker, but it was a bad move because we had to pay that to get rid of him. That's what I'm saying.
To get rid of him. Yeah. As well as during this playing, I'd rather have Brunson.
But I'm saying we could have had both.
He said he had both. We'd rather have both.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And they got rid of Obi for nothing. Queen, you want me to talk about that?
two
second round picks.
But in this collective bargaining agreement, you ain't trying to bring back salary. Yeah. You're not trying to bring back second round picks right now. Is the way to go because it's non-guaranteed salary.
And that trade is what allowed us to sign Dante DiVincenzo.
Right. Your guy.
Just throwing that out there, AJ.
Yeah. If I could just like tap a wand and bring any player back that left us recently, you guys would be surprised, but it would be Hartenstein, man.
I don't think there's any question.
We wouldn't be. Nobody's surprised about that. I think
Hartenstein and Cat, rim protection, rebounding. Both of those guys can pass.
Bring Mitch's best friend back. Those two really go along well.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. If you could just pluck a player from, like, if there was just like a fantasy draft and you could just take one player from any team and freeze yours, that would be a guy that you could plug in pretty nicely. I don't think there's anything surprising about that at all. I think that's just smart basketball right there. iHeart was a great fit here. I wish we had known that he was going to pop like he did when he signed him to that deal. We could have tacked on an option year at the end and then,
2 years, right?
And then kept him.
Yeah. Then that one definitely got away for us. Never happened, and he a champion now.
Yeah, Mike Brown is a skunked microbrewery beer right now. They need to get some fresh. That bottle is long overdue.
Who was hating on iHeart, man? I thought everybody liked iHeart. Really?
I did. Knicks Nation.
RJ
for me, he would want to bring RJ back.
Man, listen, RJ, peace out, brother.
I mean, he's playing better now. He's
good for him. That trade hurt me because IQ was gone. Goodbye, RJ Barrett. Wow. He's a good kid. He just go somewhere else, man.
Wow. Okay. Well, we are talking about who he is now, AJ, not who he was.
All right.
Well, I look at him who he was when he played for us.
And his game has evolved.
His game has evolved, and like I said, he drives and he posts up better than the 2 forwards that we got.
Yeah.
Does he still have to dribble backwards 4 steps before he goes forward?
Well, what's that? But guess what? He draw fouls. So
his shooting percentages are way up, which makes him a good player. Like, that was always my criticism of him, was that he was wildly inefficient and struggled to finish at the rim for I don't know what reason. And then he didn't fit well with Randall, in my opinion, because they took up a lot of the same space on the court. Like, their preferred zones, I thought, were the same. That was why I was never necessarily against RJ the player per se. I just didn't really like RJ the fit with that particular Knicks team. I didn't think that he was a good combo with Randall.
We it's like Mikal and OG bad. We good at bad combos, man. Or Cat and Brunson bad combo. RJ I mean,
But
both
I do want to. I do think. Can we just take a timeout for a second and examine where we were before Leon Rose got here
Oh, we don't need
and
to.
where we are now, and
Yeah,
the playoff appearances that we've had and the playoff series that we've been to. Like Leon Rose was the architect of that. He deserves some credit for getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals as recently as a year ago. So, like, I don't think it's fair to say that the entire Leon Rose regime has been a bust. Has he made some missteps along the way? Absolutely, he has. But what front office, except maybe the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think you can even look and say that they've had some missteps too, hasn't had their bad draft choices or their bad transactions or there's trades that they would really want to take back. I think maybe the Boston Celtics, everything that they touch turns to gold no matter what. But there's very few franchises that don't have missteps with or are perfect with every transaction. And Leon transformed this franchise from a joke to a contender, and you can't take that away from him regardless what happens this year. And so, in my opinion, he deserves a little bit more latitude in trying to fix the most recent mess that he's made than otherwise would be afforded. I think he's at least earned that right.
and
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau too.
I didn't want Tom fired, but I understood why they did it. So I'm not gonna. I don't want to rehash that conversation. But
yeah, he deserves.
Be careful what you wish for, Knicks fans. You just might get it, and we're getting it right now. So I mean, it's what people wanted, and sometimes the results are good, and sometimes not. But again, I understand the reasoning behind it. I think they made the right decision given the information that there was at the time, and maybe it's just that we didn't hire the right guy to replace him. Maybe this is just a rough patch, and we'll forget about this in due time. I remember, when we had all the injuries, we had the February of death a couple of years ago after Randall got hurt and JB had an ankle injury, and we were like 4-12 or something like that in the month of February, and everything, the sky was falling. We were going to miss the playoffs and everything else, and then March hit and Jalen came back and we started to rise and ended up with a really good season. So you got to hope that that's what the case is and that this team has the talent and they figure it out. But this front office has been very good, especially when you compare it to what we had before they got here.
I agree with that, Geoff. But right now the stakes are higher. So I agree with you in terms of digging us out the hole. Sometimes digging a franchise out the hole, as tough as it is, because I'm hoping my Giants are coming out of a hole. So I get it. It is tough to come out of a hole, but it is tough to take it to the next level. And I think that's what is in front of this front office right now, is to keep tinkering and tinkering. Look at that Boston team that went to the finals. Next thing you know, Marcus Smart is gone. Lord Williams, I think that's his name. What, Williams the third?
The Time Lord, Robert Williams the third.
Robert gone, because they learned something in those, in those finals, that you need to have guys that the opposing team can't sleep on and roam. So we can't have somebody in here that can't shoot. So I'm with you. I appreciate what the front office has done, but okay, like, what's the next step? And the next step, and the next step to get us where where we need to go. And we talked about Mike Brown, and we didn't talk. I meant to mention this. Like, Dolan to me is so impulsive. Like, he's so impulsive. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be a little surprised if he fired Mike Brown in the middle of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks lost in the first round if Mike Brown was fired, as opposed to this understanding within the organization that championships is a process. You don't just throw a team together and win a championship. It's a process. But my point is, it's not just Mike Brown that has to go. Leon Rose is going to go too. Like, you don't get three coaches as a front office. You got two. Make it work. And if you don't make it work, I don't think Leon Rose survives this.
Well, the only thing,
Yeah.
the pushback I would say against that is that James Dolan sometimes is hyper loyal to people he considers to be his guys. Think back to Isaiah Thomas and Herb Williams, who seemed to have a job for like 8,000 years with the organization. And so if Dolan considers Leon in his inner circle and one of his guys, I don't think he's going to be very quick to give him the boot, even if I mean, it depends obviously on the severity of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to show loyalty to Leon, as he considers Leon one of his guys and CAA connections and all of those sorts of things. So he may get more leeway than maybe somebody else or someone like Mike Brown, for instance, who
But I'm gonna say this about Leon, and he's done good. But guess what? In fairness to all the other GMs, he came in with a clean slate. He came in with draft picks, money, and assets. Them other guys came in, we were cap struck and everything, and he didn't have to clean up a mess. He just had to make some decisions, because a lot of other GMs had to clean up messes and clean up cap space, and they didn't have time. Because if Leon would have came in with a weak cap strat, it probably took him like 7-8 years to clean it up and get the players in here. So it was easier for him to like do something and clean it up real quick, because like I said, you look at the other GMs, they came in, it was cash strapped, bro, and they had no assets, no draft picks.
Yeah, Steve Mills and
Phil Jackson, they cleaned it up. They the ones that cleaned it up and wasn't giving straight away picks. Because it would have took him about 7 years. It would have took him 7 years, bro.
Only thing about Masai Anagrill is he doesn't have James Dolan to fleece if he's working for James Dolan. So how does that work out for him? I don't know. Let's get credit for the Kawhi Leonard trade, though. That was a good one.
Yeah, and Dolan, if I'm not mistaken, did reach out.
Dolan really likes Masai and respects him. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's scared of him. He fleeced him with Bargnani trades.
Right. The last question I have is about the cap, and Geoff alluded to this earlier, and this is a decision the front office has to make. Hold on, let me just get this out of the way. For those who don't know, I don't know all the ins and outs of the salary cap, but I do know this: when you go over the second apron, it's really hard to improve your team if things don't work out. And so front offices usually try to lock in a team that they feel like really confident, like this is a championship level team. Now, I'm pretty sure there's some things the Knicks can do to avoid the second apron in terms of moving players, and they might want to consider it, because I'm not sure this team is it to lock in. So, Geoff, do you know if this is a second apron team, whether we sign McBride or Mitch, no matter what?
So McBride is under contract for the 2026-27 season.
Okay.
So he's part of our core, and no. Robinson becomes a free agent unless we extend him, which is not happening, in my opinion. So there are scenarios where we can keep Robinson, but in all likelihood, unless we're getting rid of one of our other core pieces for a lot less salary, we're probably going to end up operating over the second apron to keep him. And that means you don't get to aggregate salaries and trades. That means, there's a lot of different restrictions that come with that. And teams want to avoid that. And I think it's pretty clear, at least at this point, that this doesn't look like what we want to be the roster we cement for the next, foreseeable future in terms of locking ourselves in in terms of flexibility. So, but as far as McBride is concerned, we're going to come up with an extension decision on him this summer, but we have him on under contract for one more season after this.
So we don't have to worry about that.
Robinson is really Robinson and Bridges were the guys, and Bridges already got his extension, and Robinson has not. And so that's
Okay.
that's the key there. But the problem is if Robinson walks for nothing, you don't really have any money to replace him with, right? Because
So, but this is the question I have. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Unless we make other moves, signing Mitchell Robinson puts us over the second apron.
correct.
But if we don't sign him, it's not like we can replace, go out and get somebody else who's making $14 million. So the decision is to go over the second apron or basically lose him and not be able to replace him. Okay. All righty. Okay. So we will take McBride off the table. He's extension eligible, but he's under contract for next year. What you've seen from this team, because this is a bigger decision than is Mitchell Robinson impactful. I think the decision is, from what you've seen from this team, is this a team you want to lock in? That's really, to me, that's the question. Thoughts?
I think it's a team you want to lock in, but if the Knicks don't go that way and lose Mitchell Robinson, that'll be what, after the season, right? Not after the season, right?
After the season.
Okay, yeah, after the season being in playoffs, but losing Mitch, and that's another one of the physical players. That's the more physicality leaving from your team, you know. And if you can't replace them, then you're going to be a softer team going into next year, you know, because you're strapped. You really can't bring in nobody else too much, or a fringe player or something like that.
Well, the other thing, Green, is you can operate as a below the second apron team like up until the draft. You know what I mean? Because technically until July 1st, you're under the salary cap rules from this season. So in other words, what we could do on draft night, for example, is we could make a deal. And I'm not saying to do this. I'm just using this as an example. So don't attack me, chat, I'm just trying to get the concept out there on the table. That's all I'm doing. So if, for instance, the Knicks were going to make a Giannis trade on draft night, and we aggregate salary and we send out this year's pick that we make for the Bucks, and then we send that player, and then we send out that furthest pick unprotected plus whatever else it takes to get the job done. I'm not going to get into the particulars. There are a lot of different ways that trade can happen. And then you have Giannis in-house, and then maybe it's with Giannis instead of Cat, maybe it's easier to bring back Towns and go over the second apron, you know, in the following year, because I believe with his extension anyway, you're probably going to be up against it anyway. So maybe that's part of the calculus, and that then that becomes the team that you lock in and is a little bit more defensively oriented. But you know, it's a difficult decision because Robinson's availability is such a big question mark. Do you want to be spending $12 to $14 million on a player who, you know, is a part-time guy and needs load management? That's an excellent question, you know, and we've seen what Mitch can do at his best, but if that's every third game and a couple of playoff games, is that not that $14 million is amazingly high salary or anything, but with what other contracts we're paying, it's definitely a question to ponder. And can you get 70% of the production for a third of the price, right? You know, and if you can, you may be able to stay under that second apron and get more flexibility with how you build and adjust the roster, building it out and moving forward.
And I'm gonna say this: any Giannis trade, gonna have to give up two players, two high salary players. It can't just be Cat. It has to be Cat and Bridges, or something like that. We need to get back one big salary back, and that's about it, to have a 3 salary thing, not 4. So if you're going to trade Cat for Giannis, it's got to be Giannis. Cat and somebody else. Cat, I ain't going to want to give up OG, but it'd be Cat and Bridges. We'll operate much better with 3 salaries. That way we can fill out the team with more and things like that, and add more shooters and more things like that to the team. And we won't be under the second apron. We'll be under the second apron. We'll be able to function much better than we are right now. Because right now we're strapped. We're at the at the ceiling right now.
Yeah. So if thank you, Jeff, for that. If the Knicks are able to have until July 1st to do something, because this is not a team I'm locking in. This is just not a team that I'm going over the second apron for. And so if the Knicks can, do something before July 1st, and open up salary, that's great. But I would lose Mitchell Robinson for nothing before I lock this team in as is, because this team is not it in my opinion. And the thing about locking the team in is that if Mitchell Robinson was to get hurt, it's going to be hard to replace him because you're over the second apron. There's a lot of restrictions. So how are you going to go out and get another player?
You got to have the salaries to match and the whole. Yeah, it's very, very restrictive, very difficult to do. No question about it.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So
it's yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you have a super.
Yeah. I'm gonna get to it. Shout out to Josh,
Long time no see, my guy. I hope all is well.
formerly known as Uncle Fulio. Appreciate you. Salute Steph and the crew. This team has been blown out more in 43 games than they have during the entire 5 years under Tibbs. I'm looking at Mike Brown and the flawed hiring process by the organization. Listen, two things could be true. One, Thibodeau needed to go because the players were no longer listening and he didn't have a relationship with the front office. But that doesn't mean Mike Brown was the best hire. We went back and forth with this. Do you hire a guy? Do you fire a guy before you have an idea of who's available? Yeah, you do. Like, I don't think you just stick with somebody because you don't know who else is out there. The Knicks were looking for a collaborative coach. Somebody said to me that the reason why the Memphis ex-coach pulled out was because he just wasn't willing to be as collaborative as the Knicks wanted him to be. I don't know how true that is, though.
Taylor Jenkins.
Taylor Jenkins. I don't know how true that was. I think collaboration is important. You do need to. There needs to be between the front office, the coach, the players. There needs to be some collaboration, but there has to be a line. There has to be a line. The front office knows more about certain things. The coach can put their input in. Front office make the final decision because they know more, right? The front office can be collaborative with the coach about what they're looking to do. CBA, we got to play these younger guys because 2 years from now we're going to need them in the rotation. Fine, but game to game, the coach has to make that. I get you. I hear what you're saying. I'll do my best to make that happen. But game to game, it's the coach that has to make the final decision. You can't just force a coach to, give players so many minutes. So we'll see. I mean, this is a tough stretch. Somebody said, I don't know if it was in this show or I think it was in the comments. I was reading the replay games comments and said you can't judge a plant when they're just a sprout. And so, the Knicks are still in the process of becoming. Mac Brown is still in the process of putting his stamp on this team. We can't,
Right now, that stamp, you can't even mail a letter, though. You gotta...
It's not going well. Yeah, shout out. Thanks, Josh, for stopping by and with that comment. Yeah, it was risky. There's always a chance that the team goes backwards, but there's a chance they go forward, right? It has happened before, but it was a risk either way, and I think the jury is still out.
Can I ask a question? Let me ask you guys a question. That in that comment, Josh, shout out to him and thanks for the super chat. Says the front office's flawed hiring process. What was flawed about it? The fact that they reach out to coaches that were already hired. Like, I mean, I don't understand. People made a big deal about that. Like, you gotta. What was flawed about it? They interviewed guys who were available, guys who were on the already coaching other team. What was flawed about it? I don't get that part, or the
Wasn't
fact
that
that they did it publicly, or
I think the
Maybe
embarrassing
he
part
means
was
that it
trying
was
to
flawed and
trying
that
to
it came
interview
up with the
coaches
wrong.
that was already coaching.
say that again.
I think the embarrassing part was trying to interview coaches that already had a job. I mean, they're not available. So why are you going to those guys? They already got a job.
That
I think
that was flawed.
I think
I
I
don't
think
know.
so. It's like they're under contract. I mean, isn't that tampering or something? Like the guy's under contract. How are you going to try to get him? You know, he's a coach. He's under contract.
That's how it's done in the world, man. When a headhunter come out, reach out to you, is that a flawed process? Like that's how you people, companies go out and get the best people and make them offers. You could say yes or no. You don't have to wait for somebody uh to be unemployed to make him an offer. When you try to get the best people, when you run a company, you try to get the best people for your company. If that person happens to be working for another company, you go after them anyway. I think that's the right thing to do. Whether they hire, and in fact, if they're not hired, that's probably because they're not the best people. So you probably should go after those who already have a job, who already have a proven track record. You go after those people first. I mean, was it flawed because they turned them down? I don't think that was their fault. I'm just asking the question. Everybody, that's the common thing out there. But I'm sorry, if the best person for the job is hired, I'm gonna try to make him a better offer than where he's at to bring him on my team. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think it wasn't just one coach. It's like a couple of coaches. It wasn't just
Uh,
one. If
I
it's
would
just one, that's okay. But it's like three, four that
listen.
you just getting shoot down, rejected by 4 or 5 different coaches.
Okay, but the process itself was, to me, that was the way to go. If there are if there are 10 coaches in the league like hired that I think will do a good job with my team, I'm gonna ask them, hey man, you want to look at this job over here? I got this for you, man. Do you want it? If you say no, I'll go to the next one. And when I go through all those, then I go to the next best thing. The next coach who's not hired, who's not working, and I think that's the thing to do, man. You go for the best people, whether they hired or not. That's what companies do. What world are we living in? That's what they do.
Yeah, I mean, Josh would have to answer that.
Mhm.
Would have to answer that question. Which part of it that he felt was flawed?
Maybe he thought the conclusion that they arrived at in hiring Brown was the flaw. I don't know. I didn't talk to him, but maybe he was just not on Mike Brown's. Maybe he's not a fan of Mike Brown, and he decided,
Yeah, but
whatever process it was that landed on him had to have been
yeah, but
flawed.
because
He
you
was
don't
wrong.
like Mike Brown doesn't make the process not the right one. That's not. You don't like him, I get it, but that doesn't make the process itself not good.
Maybe it was the process when it came down to the last two. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Everybody, a lot of people say that. Maybe you could. It was public. Maybe the rejections, but the rejection is not part of. That's not part of their process. That's the result that they didn't succeed, but they got to keep going.
Yeah. All right. Great show. Just wanted to go over all of the things that is going on in Knick Nation.
Queen, sorry, I got a D Grant. Shout out to you, but I'm trying to post that. Oh wait, I've heard this all the time. I get called literally at least every other week from headhunters, try to get me to go to their company. So I don't know why you never heard that. And literally everybody I know, the headhunters always calling them, trying to get them to move from one company to the other. That's common. Common. Happens everywhere. In every field, in every, every major company, every major corporation. Thanks for the comment.
All right. Yeah. We got the game against Brooklyn. If they lose against Brooklyn, we might have to come back on Thursday for an hour.
Listen,
Emergency.
I'm doing the game tomorrow. So
oh, you are?
I'll see. Yeah, I'll be like, man, they better not embarrass tomorrow, man.
Okay. Outside contractors, right?
Yeah, but they outside contractors hired by the people to go get people working for other companies. Because people working for other companies that they don't have time to go, but headhunters, that's their job. They get hired by firm A to go after firm B, C, D's best workers to come get to them. Come on, man. Come on.
But what the point he was trying to make is that he never heard of the company itself doing it. He's making a differentiation about them contracting out the work to do it.
I don't think that's what he's doing. He's saying he never heard of companies go after other people's best work. That's very common in the workplace. It's very common.
But he clarified it and said he's talking about headhunters or outside contractors. Of course they would.
And they do it too. It's not just headhunters, that's what's more common. But people in companies do that. They do that all the time. It's very common.
Okay. All right. In terms, the Knicks play Brooklyn tomorrow at Madison Square Garden. We can't even say Brooklyn's not playing well because the Knicks are not playing well.
The pillow fight of the week, Brooklyn and New York.
Yeah.
Oh, just win, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see if the players only meet and work tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow night.
Yep, man. If we don't win, Queen, if we don't win. Yeah.
Anyway, any last words?
First of all, Escott, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You really elevate the conversation. We enjoy having you. You're welcome. Obviously, any chance you get. I know you're a busy guy. Ajay is always a pleasure, my guy. Holding us down. Although you're not on your hit the like button train like you used to be. I think you're slipping in your old age.
No, because a lot of people in the chat they can't be keeping up, man. Shout out to A-Train who's
He's outsourcing responsibility. You see that? He's a headhunter. Look at him. He's hired the chat to do his job for him. And then Queen, the hostess with the mostest. God bless you, young lady. Appreciate you so much. This wouldn't be the same without. The chat was on fire tonight. Great job. We appreciate y'all so much. And this really is a collective. And the thoughts of the community are important to us, and they need to be heard. And you guys bring it every single time. So thank you for really coming up on a pop-up show, because this was kind of a decision that Queen made on the fly during lunch. So to really get after this and to have as many folks as we did and a lively a conversation as we did, that's really impressive on y'all's part. So thank you very much for making this a special community.
All right, man. Thank you guys for always having me, man. Always a pleasure to be on here. Geoff, as always, man. Great insight, man. Love the chopping it up, as well as Ajay. Always as well, man. Always remember, hit that like button, man. And if the Knicks lose to the Nets tomorrow, I will definitely be back on Thursday night, which I hope don't have to happen.
Then I hope I don't see you on Thursday. Then I don't mean to be rude, but if that's the case, I don't want to see you on Thursday, Escott. I like you, you're my guy, but I hope I don't see you on Thursday.
But in other news, great news for the New York Giants. I'm happy, man. So it's all good. Queen, as always, man. A great show, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Like I said, I'll be back, man. Anybody want to check me out? I'll be on tomorrow night, the Man Cave podcast, doing the Knicks and the Nets game. Calling them, live play by play. So I'll be on there tomorrow night at 7:30, whatever to be on.
All right.
You have one more super chat, Queen.
Yeah. I do want to get to it. Josh, FKA, Uncle Fulio, clarifying, answering Ajay's question. In the NBA, when coaching or GM changes are made, there usually is a replacement already in mind. There rarely is a 5 or 6 person interview process, especially for a team coming off the ECF. I guess the question I have, Josh, is if you know this coach, if you no longer believe in the coach, you no longer believe in the relationship, and there isn't anyone you have in mind, do you stick with the coach? Or are you just saying part of the process is that you that has to be part of it? Like you can't just be like, I don't like him, and we gotta go. Part of the process has to be like, this guy's frustrating me. He's not listening. He's a lone wolf here. But there's nobody else that I really like out there yet. I think we need to stand pat. Or are you of the school, he's not a fit for us, we need to move on, and we get, and we just got to find somebody else. And well, okay, he's letting us know what camp he's in. Yes, you do stick it out. It's not like the house was burning down.
Right.
Until you have your guy in mind.
Okay.
That's what Josh
saying.
You don't have to agree. Which camp are you in?
Yeah, Josh answer, but my answer is gonna be, actually somebody already said what I was gonna say. Shout out to Cody Music, says none of that make it a flawed process. And I agree, because typically they don't do that, and this team decides to do that. That doesn't make it flawed. That's their process. This time around, they interviewed 5 or 6 coaches, potential coaches, or they didn't have somebody in mind. That doesn't make the process. There's no written rule like this is the process, what you got. Otherwise, it's flawed. That's what you would do, Josh. Doesn't mean that's what Leon Rose and James Dolan want to do. That doesn't mean that's what I would do or Geoff would do.
I will say this. Just the year before you signed him to an extension, you knew who Tom Thibodeau was when you signed him to that extension. You knew he was a lone wolf when you signed him to that extension. Nothing new happened between the time you signed him and the time you let him go, other than the fact that you thought you should have went to the finals. Because from what I'm hearing, they didn't fire him because of X's and O's. They didn't fire him because of adjustments. They fired him because the relationship wasn't there. Okay. But it hadn't been there for a while.
Can I here's what, based on what Dolan said, right? This is how I understand it, right? They fired him because he was lack of collaborating with the front office in terms of developing players. He talked a lot about developing young players. He said developing young players is not just to develop them so they could become great players, but also as trade assets so you could improve the team. Tom Thibodeau didn't want to do that. Okay. The year before that, believe it or not, he was playing the young players because we had a bunch of young players. We had Obi Toppins, we had Emmanuel Quickly, but the last year.
But those guys were in the rotation, though. That was very.
Yes,
no. That's still different. No.
No, how is that different?
That's different than when you have a core vet rotation and you got guys that are not ready and who are out of the rotation that they're asking you to play. Hold on. Quickly, Grimes, RJ Barrett, they were the rotation. The rotation was just young. That's different.
They put them in the rotation as part of development. Okay, that's what he was
There
saying.
was
That's
nobody else to
is.
compete against, though. It's not like they had other veteran players for them to sit behind.
As soon as Dante came, Quentin Grimes was
Exactly. As soon as Dante came, Quentin Grimes went to the bench. Well, not soon enough, if you ask me, but eventually he did.
That again, I think that's what happened. That's part of the reason why. That's not what I think. That's what he said.
But again, that's still collaboration. We want you to play the young people. You're not playing the young people. You're not listening. But that's my point. It wasn't about, which I thought it was going to be about, lineups in the playoffs, schemes in the playoffs, adjustments in the playoffs. It wasn't even about that. It was about collaboration. This is what we need you to do, and you're not listening. Listen, same thing. We're talking about the same thing. You're just being more specific about what the collaboration was about.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what he said. But again, I don't see anything flawed with their hiring process. That's what they choose to do. That's what they do. That doesn't mean that's what's done every day or every time there's a coach, there's a vacancy in a coach position. Every team go about the different way. Every front office, every general manager do their own thing differently. All right. Okay. So
you don't see it as flawed. He does.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't see it as flawed. He does. Last comment, Dolan runs the Knicks like a corporation, which is part of the problem on the basketball side. But that's a different conversation for a different day. I do think he's a bit impulsive. I don't think he understands what it takes to win a championship. And I'm a little concerned the way Mike Brown is trending that he's going to do something impulsive and fire him in the beginning, the middle of the season, or fire him if we lose in the first round and not give him an opportunity to go into the offseason, retool the roster, come back. It's like it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen like this, and if it doesn't, we got to go. We got to, he out there giving out basketballs because we was on a 5-game. We're like, relax, because we were winning. We were, oh my God, let's get out there. Oh, the team is really turned it. It's a process. It is a process. So let's see. Hopefully he's patient and allows Mike Brown the opportunity to, see what he can, see what he can do.
Mm-hmm. No, just put that in there for Wiz.
What about that? Anybody else who's interested in the play-by-play tomorrow? All right, Wiz, amazing show. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Amazing show. I heard 80%, so I will also be part of the replay gang. See you on Thursday. Oh, he already got us on the show.
No, we're not going to have a show. We're winning on Wednesday. We're rooting for no show on Thursday, and I love the show.
We do not want a show on Thursday, Wiz, because if we hit Thursday, that means we lose tomorrow.
Better not, man.
For real. Listen, Ajay, I appreciate you. Geoff, I appreciate you. Escar, you're welcome anytime. I appreciate you elevating the platform, elevating the show. Geoff, you already know. Ajay, you already know. Jerrell, we miss you. Shout out to the chat. You guys were awesome. You're awesome every night and every time
right.
we go on, but tonight you guys were
special.
Yeah, you guys leveled up to the highest levitivity today. And appreciate the replay gang. And Wiz, appreciate you. And the silent listeners, appreciate you. King Scientist, we didn't take calls today. It's when the conversation gets flowing and, I don't know. But we appreciate you listening to the show. Be a part of the silent listeners gang.
I was gonna say, the chat was tight. It was crazy because they even made David Smith stop talking about cat hair. So I mean, it was coming in, it was coming crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, Geoff and I will be on Thursday, 12:30. Eastern Standard Time. I forgot we have a global
Yeah,
global
It's
listeners.
Western and Central, right?
no,
Right.
I'm the Central Standard guy. She needs to be. She did that for my benefit. She wasn't.
Right.
She was trying to hide it and couch it, but that was directed directly at me. She's like, "Hey, Bozo, 11:30
Eastern
your
Standard.
time."
Right.
Because I always ask her. Because I always
and Wiz, who's like 12 hours behind wherever he's at. Like, which part of the
Cali.
world he's in?
He's on the West
He's
Coast.
3 hours behind on the West Coast.
I'm gonna be in Ghana in February, and my plan is to still do the show.
Wow.
With the 5 hour time difference. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see new subscriber. Then the Queen and her on Thursday, definitely. Anyway, until next time, family, we appreciate you. Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at?